Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. It is 6:37 PM on November the 7th, 2024. And we will do roll call first. Terry Werner,
Here.
Matthew McGovern,
Here.
Laura Sanchez Fowler,
Here.
Mike McLeod,
Here.
and Sam Houston Clinton is absent tonight. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And please remain standing for the invocation. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord. Thank you for this little town of Martindale. And Lord God, please guide us and help us to know exactly what to do, especially with the state getting into the legislature. Help us to let them know that little towns are very important and that we want to stay a little town and not be encumbered with a lot of laws that do not let us grow. Lord God, we do ask for rain, and Heavenly Father, we do ask that you give us guidance tonight. And I do thank you for the gift of salvation. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thank you.
Okay, we have a public comment from Mary Beth Harper for the library. And she's given us a handout, so we don't have to write as fast. Yes.
Okay, first of all, Texas redbud tree that were planted in Glorio's Park. This is in honor of Patty Peterson, who's the former mayor of Martindale, and also the person who started the Martindale Community Library in the Methodist Church. And I want to thank Sam, who's not here though, for showing the tree planting manager, as it's called, from Heritage Tree Care, a good place to plant the tree. They were here yesterday and planted it, and the tree is, it's taller than me, but that's not saying much. It's a pretty good sized tree.
It's somewhere between her and me.
Yeah, together.
2 inches.
And updates since the last city council meeting, a matter of balance classes are still ongoing. And we have lots of fun in there too. And the exercises are done to build up muscle that prevents you from falling. And if you do fall, how to get up from the ground. And this is provided by the Area Agency on Aging. And the Fall Family Festival was on October 19th. 108 children attended and a whole bunch of adults. Also, there was a farmer's market there along one side of green space across the street, and we were on the other side. Anyway, there's people all over the place. And St. David's Grant paid for that. Seemed like the bounce house was a favorite thing for the children. Okay, some upcoming events on December the 6th is the downtown tree lighting. It's the 17th year of the downtown tree lighting. And Santa will ride through the neighborhoods. The library will have letters to Santa and also movies in the library and other Christmas activities. Now inside 413 Main Street, there'll be vendors set up and they'll be selling all kinds of goodies. And also there's a fundraiser for food and beverages will be sold. And there's a planning meeting coming up shortly. I'm going to invite some members of the city to come, and also chief of police, some other things. And I want to remind the city council members about the food pantry that we have. It's very successful. There's donations from both community members as well as all of the county food bank. And anyone in need of food can take any item. We have a grant from Save the Children for early childhood education. And that's on the story time schedule. Let's prepare children for kindergarten. Some other events. And this is, again, it's on your calendar right there. And tomorrow, coffee and conversation. That's from, well, yeah.
Do those nights have, or days, I'm sorry, have topics?
No.
Like, is there a scheduled topic of what the conversation will be, or it's just conversation?
It's not whatever.
Nice.
So you don't have to go have coffee, but.
Well, no, it's good. You don't even have to stay on topic. Like, you could just talk. I love that. My kind of coffee.
And also Tractor Corners tomorrow. And other items are on here. I don't think that read on my notes.
Mary Beth, November 18 is when we send out the utility bills.
Oh, okay.
So if you have something for the tree
Okay.
lighting, we can put it.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a question. One is, I know y'all do a lot with St. David's. Some of it, like your balance class, seems to be like health and, I don't know. I was gonna say medical, but it's not really medical, but health related. So, have y'all established any inroads with them, or do you plan to? In terms of, I've been looking at some possibilities for, rural medical care funding, and I just joined this, regional planning committee that is working on that. And they've got like all these things, like if we wanted to consider it in the future at some, I mean, like 15 years from now, tomorrow, whatever, it doesn't matter. They've got all these planning resources for how you go about attracting a doctor, a pharmacy, a whatever into this area. And they have a lot of seed money to start that. And they even have programs where physicians can like have their medical debt forgiven for coming out here. I want to stay in my lane. So I wasn't sure, are y'all already working on like attracting medical stuff with St. David's or?
Okay, our focus, there's a thing called Libraries for Health. And that's the St. David's grant. And most of our focus is on mental health.
Okay,
And
except balance.
yes, no, the balance class, that's every agency on aging.
That's not, I misread. I'm sorry. Okay, go
That's
ahead.
different.
I got you.
We try to go after the maze.
Right. Right.
But as far as having a doctor, pharmacy, there's a building dedicated for, a brand new building would have to be built.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think St. David's and some other hospital foundations would love to put one here. I don't know if there's, I know the need is here.
Right.
I believe Carol has talked to them.
Okay.
I don't know the ins and outs of it, but. we
Maybe
should get
talk to
together.
Carol. Yeah, maybe we could have like just a brainstorming thing, just
Yes.
to make sure, like, because like I said, I want to make sure not like, if y'all are already working on
No,
something, I
no.
don't want to like be all, hey, I discovered
We don't have
light.
the resources for that, but it's definitely a need and we are aware, which I hope everybody is. But yeah, we need medical presence here.
And most
urgent
of it
care.
requires lots of money.
Mhm.
Lots of
Okay.
money.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Laura.
Mhm. And thank you for the information.
Can you put up the photo for the triathlon? So I don't know if anybody's aware, but this triathlon takes place every year and has for more than 30 years.
I did the very first one,
You did the very first one?
1978.
And it's,
No way.
it's called the Texas Canoe and Kayak Racing Association. So, I watched Sandy Goins grow up, and so she calls me now as mayor to come and start the race.
Aw.
And so Kevin has actually been the one that's been on duty for the last 3 years, and so the two of us go out there, and then he leads them to Lockhart Street. He blocked Lockhart Street, the election was going on and we didn't want somebody plowing into some of the runners. So they run, they don't swim, they kayak or canoe and bicycle. Well, I think it's actually run, bicycle, and then canoe. But they have a great time. It's not real big. Every year I ask them, can you let us know in advance and we can advertise it a little bit and have people come out and cheer you on, and they always kind of forget.
Those were the good old days, you know. I think I came in second one year.
Nice,
Yeah,
congratulations.
that was a long time ago. That was back in the glory years. I'll leave it at that.
All had those before.
So I just wanted to share that. Okay, we'll go on to city administrator, and we have quite a few things we've been working on.
Yeah, so, starting first, Northwest River Road project update. So we met with our engineers, and they had some unfortunate news,
What?
disappointing news. So as they continue to run the cost estimates for the project, I think the budget's at $5 million for construction. As it's designed now, it's going to cost over $6 million. So in order to leave enough room for contingency, they're looking to cut the project cost by over $1 million. And so to get to that point, what they've suggested is that, or what Form was forced to do, is cut the cost of the water line out of the scope of the project, transfer that burden to the Water Supply Corporation, and then de-scope the stormwater management through the S curve, possibly remove that completely. And also remove any paving activities back up to the intersection of the shoe tree is. And so literally the project scope would be just from the back driveway of the schoolhouse gymnasium to the shoe tree, and it'd just be that strip of road. And all of that costing close to $5 million, under $5 million. So that was a very unfortunate development. And we had a discussion on Monday so that we learned this about a week and a half ago now. We had a discussion on Monday, the following Monday, which was just a few days ago. We met with Steve Fonville and his engineer and discussed where we're at and what we're looking at. And as we're proceeding, as considering options, he's going to take that to his board, talk about with his team about what they might be able to do. But this is a major significant issue. So I'm letting you know this now because it might be brought to the next city council meeting for some decisions or endorsements of at least of a decision. There's no decision to be made yet until we get a sense of where the Water Supply Corporation is going to be on it and what their position is. But once they have a position on the issue, we'll bring that back to city council and figure out what's next. Unfortunately, when we first scoped this project in 2019 into 2020, that was almost 4 years ago. And what was initially going to be from a Lockhart Street intersection repair all the way through Quail Run intersection repair has turned into like a repair of a single block. And it's pretty disheartening, but that's where we validated our cost estimates with their engineer, kind of rough order of magnitude kind of stuff. And they said we're pretty online. If not, they might even be a little more conservative than us in some of the cost estimates, given what the project is. So
Can you tell me like, just a general sense of what
Yeah.
happened? Like what changed? And not like, I don't need numbers, but just like,
so as
like what was the primary thing that changed that has taken up? Is it buying the properties? Is it paying the engineering group? Is it materials? Like, what is it that's changing?
material and construction costs,
Gotcha.
100%.
The land budget acquisition is its own entity.
That's
They're all separate.
The engineer is a percentage of total, that's separate. The,
Uh-huh.
and the construction is the construction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I've got two questions.
Yeah.
First question, are we still gonna have the culvert?
Yeah.
Up to the curve? There'll be a culvert that goes into the farm field?
Yes,
That'll be
yes,
there.
that's still there.
Second question, Caldwell County passed a road bond. They've talked about repaving Northwest River Road. Is there a possible to use that? If, I don't know what, it just passed. Can we coordinate that funding?
but we also have the second half of this grant to
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have that site, we could,
bring that closer.
yeah,
We'd have
re-scope that one, so
rescope
the mod,
the road portion of it, because we were gonna continue from the S all the way to
Yeah.
Quail. And that was $700,000, I believe.
Yeah.
For that section. And then that would still leave, because I remember we looked at that, we were like within 50,000. So he's gotta rescope that too.
he's gonna re-scope that too. I
Because
think
otherwise
what's,
we would be making a not good decision.
yeah, it's
Right.
the
Yeah,
box,
we can put
the
that-
box culverts that are going onto the road are a significant cost driver. And even the piping for the water and the wastewater. Those are getting quite expensive.
So-
And then one of the things I think we'll look at is when we go to a reduced culvert size and what does that get us, if anything? And it's really unfortunate now he's at 9, he's building the bid package. So where we've been to this point is that every engineering design phase is come to city council, look for decisions on issues, went back, revised those plans according with those revisions. And as they have received basically the go-ahead to put this out for bid, finalize their complete plans and the cost estimated based on those final plans. And that's where these new numbers were brought in, to where prior cost estimates were probably, 10 months old or more. So, and didn't,
I guess my question, we've already paid for all this engineering cost. And I agree with Mr. McGovern there. If we have
we pay them
another,
based on the milestones.
I know that, but if we have money for that other grant, we need to coincide that information.
Okay.
Like we said, to make a decision, and let's bring the county in, because what we don't want to do, in my opinion, is make these changes or do them based on this budget when we got this other potential grant that we could use to apply to that project. So what I don't want to do with Mr. Turk is we design it and then we don't, we redesign it again, and there goes the engineering cost, and then work with, and I think we need to get the county involved to see, I know we're way too soon on the road bond, but that has been discussed, and coordinate this thing all together if possible.
Yeah,
It-
we'll talk to them and we'll bring both of those 3 issues back when we talk about this.
Let me finish my thought. What I don't want to do is that we've been through this for 5 years, and I don't want to say, we already have a design. I think we need to go forward and see if there's money available on that second grant. And then also with the county, instead of starting making these changes, we'll stop here, reduce the culvert side, more engineering costs,
You don't pay more for the engineering. The
You sure?
engineering is done based on milestones. There is not a per hour rate on this grant.
Correct.
So that as we can make him redesign it 20,000 times, he'll be pissed, but technically, he can't charge for it.
And we've already talked to the county about the road bond, working with us about that $2 million grant at the Riverbend Bridge. That they can maybe do more road if they don't have to do anything with the bridge.
Oh, with the county.
Yeah,
So I'm sorry, but this all passed, like, the grant was awarded before I came on, so I just need knowledge. So if you chose to, is that second grant something you can redistribute the entire thing to this? Can you put it, I know it came kind of as a result of that grant, but can you put it back into this grant? Or is it not possible?
With permission, we probably can,
Okay,
but
but
that's kind of two answers in one. We have to get permission to make a
of
modification,
course.
and then what permission is granted is going to be depending on the scope and how they interpret the scope changes.
Okay, part B, then, is it a grant that, it's a Texas grant, right? It's from the Texas Department of Transportation,
It's,
No.
no,
GLO.
GLO. So is it one, I am not familiar with GLO funding yet. So is it one that we could combine another grant with? Like would they allow us to supplement it with another grant? To
we
get
would, we
the
would
entire-
do, we would have two different bids and contracts, but, we
If we
would do
sent
it at the
them all
same
to
time.
people.
so we could do it the same people. Or
And maybe divide it into sections where like he does a reduced amount of paving or whatever, and then you take that part and put it towards the second, put the other funding towards that, where you can divide it out financially and it doesn't, they don't have to. In our project, they will get the whole project done, 100% of the work done. On paper, the GLO will provide the funding for 60% of it, and a different source may provide 40% of it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how how that would be contracted for. Right now, what we've done is reduce the scope of the base project,
Mhm.
left on appendages on each side, like get us to Lockhart Street intersection and get us around the S curve, as additional optional contract items. So if the base bid comes down, there's affordability without having to do a new solicitation. We can say, all right, do option one, do the base plus option one, and go off and go do things.
Gotcha.
There might be an opportunity on the $2 million mod to do something similar of here's the base project, here's some options, and then and have some overlap in those options. The difficulty is going to be the timing.
Yeah.
Because this is ready to go for bid
Yeah.
now, basically. And that is at basically concept phase design, almost, 0% design.
Right.
And it's going to be a long time before we have probably 2 years before we get to this similar stage on that project. Just given all the environmentals that go on. So it would be difficult to thread that needle, but we could try to cover up whatever gaps we leave open in this project with options on that next project.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And then the other thing, Mayor might be in a better position to talk about it, but we have received some inquiries regarding the status of the cemetery, John Clayton Cemetery. And so we're fielding those inquiries, but as city council knows or might recall, is that we're still doing a title search on who then owns that land and who's responsible for that. And that hasn't come back with any definitive answer to this point. And I don't have a good sense of when we're going to get the answer or if we'll ever get an answer. It could be like some of the other properties where we've seen it's kind of lost to time on who actually owns.
Well, we
this
can't
thing.
start the project until that is determined. Because you have to have permission to touch that property.
Yeah, we have to get permission from somebody. Yeah, we can't do shovels. We're not gonna be able to put any shovels in the dirt.
I'm sorry?
The city might have to take over the cemetery.
Well,
Yeah.
she's trying to make an association.
I know that,
Yeah, and she.
but somebody's trying to stop her.
Yeah, so that might be another issue that comes before council, and the mayor kind of alluded to it. There may be an opportunity for the city to, preserve that space as part of its historical preservation program. And maybe the city maintains that cemetery in that space. But until we have some of the title research done,
The
little
history of it too is kind of strange. I was talking to Randy Bunker and he said when he was mayor, people were wanting him to fix that after the 2015 flood. And the city just didn't have the money. And I'm thinking that Rob DeVinny kind of had that in the back of his mind when they were going for this grant. And now we have the money and we're wanting to, fix that and put all that rock and stuff in there to preserve the banks. And now people are saying, oh, you're gonna destroy it. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a catch-22
Ironic, yeah.
situation.
Yeah, so we're working through that, but that's where we're on Northwest River Road project. And then, of course, we still have some of the land acquisition, the easement acquisition things going on, but as we get ready for all that closing up, we're gonna have that bigger issue of working with the Water Supply Corporation on what do we do for the $500,000 plus $600,000 issue. Who's gonna pick that ball?
I thought you said it was $1 million.
We had to cut over $1 million out of the
Okay, got
project.
it. Mhm.
500,000, 600,000 is out of the water line. The other 500 to 600,000 is out of the S-curve stormwater and road paving and out of the Lockhart intersection improvement.
One more question. I won't hold you to this, but I mean, in your opinion, maybe you talk to Turk, realistically, because people are always asking me, when do you think we'll break ground? Will it be sometime in 25? Latter part of 25? I mean.
A lot of that depends on the actions of their neighbors in terms of how the land acquisition for easements goes, and also what the Water Supply Corporation chooses to do. Maybe there's opportunity for the city and the Water Supply Corporation to come together. I know one of the things that Steve Fondle, the general manager over there, was wanting to do is talk amongst his board and see if they want to stand up a committee. I offered to him if that's something that they would want to do. The city would very much like the opportunity to put its own members of its council on that committee, likely, and so that we can start working together on this problem. And as a start,
makes
and then maybe we can coordinate on other issues that might come to
That's a good suggestion.
Can we force them to pay if we're doing their improvements?
So,
But it's
There's
in our
prob-
land,
there-
it's in our property.
there's,
Interesting question, right?
the question is, can we force the Water Supply Corporation to do the work? There might be an argument that yes, we could, or at least we say you have to do this because you're a utility within our right of way. So you must accommodate your service that's utilizing our right of way, meaning you're in charge of doing this. If it gets to that point, that might be something we look seriously at. I hope we don't get into that level of,
Mhm.
we're able to reach an agreement with them that doesn't get to that point.
But technically,
But technically,
the water line is in the city's property. It's in a right of way, not an easement.
It's in a utility easement.
It's in the right of way.
it's in the right of way, I believe,
It's
currently.
on my property and everyone on where we're talking about, it is in the right of way. He does have an easement for the fire on my property.
Hmm.
Like it's on the line, but he has a cushion easement around that, for work.
So what have other cities done? This has to be.
Well, a lot of other cities are
Utility.
own the utility,
Yeah.
and so it's a cost incurred by them, which is something that could be considered as an alternative as we look to secure financing. I know I've reached out and made calls to a couple of financial institutions on this, on that issue. I've tried some preliminary market research. Or they're large, both the utilities, or both the city and the utility are sizable enough to where a $500,000 thing that comes up is more easily accommodated within either the annual budget or through a short-term debt service that will be paid off in 12 months or 24 months or something like that. This is, $500,000 is a lot of money to this town, this community. Whereas if this is in San Marcos, it may not even, city council probably isn't discussing it.
Yeah.
Any other questions? That's a good one. All right, the other two items we have, we're doing a request for proposals for building permit software. Something that would go completely online, take us to a paperless building permit. It would not just building permits, it would cover all land use permits that we have, historical, certificates of appropriateness, scenic corridor, planning and zoning revisions, anything dealing with land use buildings. We'd want to cover it and try to get us to a point where we have better records, more efficient processes, and frankly, have a little more professional administration of those things. And by doing a permit software, we'll be able to leverage our building inspectors better, I think, by deferring most of the decisions and costs where necessary to them, so that city staff isn't taking the inquiries quite directly, that we might not be the most qualified to answer in some cases. So we have that solicitation open. That will close next week, I think end of next week or next Monday the 18th. So I intend to have at least a bidders list by the time we come in on Thursday. We may talk as agenda setting, so Mayor and I might discuss if city council wants to be involved in that bid selection, having the following Monday, the 25th. I know it's a holiday week, but if folks are around and want to participate, start scheduling in demonstrations with these folks, and we can kind of see how they operate, and make a decision on who to select and proceed with. The last item, the municipal court collections. So as we have Judge Cable come on board, he's advised us to start a collections program. We've put out solicitations for proposals from the major firms who do that work. And we're getting some responses already from them. So I think that closes on the 19th, that same week. So maybe we'll have something on the 21st for council to decide on that. We have about $150,000 in unpaid fees. Yeah, shoot, if we can recover even a third of that,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that would go a long way for us. So that's all I have, subject to your questions.
And our new employee, Javi, he's been doing a lot of the background work on these things. He's doing a fabulous job. He's also working on a project that Jared has him working on that we talked about at the last meeting for the ordinance for
Flat work and fencing, and then the short-term rentals,
Yes.
and then might have been one.
Well, and the one that he's really working on is like, how do we get other neighborhoods to come into the city
Yes.
limits? And so he's
Oh, good.
painstakingly,
Oh, those are two
Um,
important subjects for me. That's
yeah,
cool.
building a document that
Oh, yeah.
shows who's
Cool.
in the ETJ and
Cool.
all of their status.
We got lucky again.
Yeah, that might be ready. 21st is probably a stretch. It might
For which one?
for bringing the data to you guys.
What about the short-term rental?
I think the 21st has a chance. Yeah,
Well, thanks. That's good. Good news.
I think we're talking
Yeah.
flat work and fencing tonight, right? So
Friends only.
fencing.
Fencing. And also next week, on the 14th, please invite people, because I couldn't get it in the last newsletter, for the charm workshop. It's really important and it's a really big deal. I know Jared and Mike and Matthew all went to that. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, so the way it was, and I think how we're going to do it again, is is a tabletop exercise where they have a professional planner come in, and you have a overlay of the city's map projected onto a table. And then they propose issues and scenarios that affect how we would plan for hazard mitigation and the growth of the city and other things. And it was a really insightful exercise, very thought-provoking process. And so people want to have some input on how the city plans for the future as it relates to everything from infrastructure issues to population growth and how to manage that, transportation sort of stuff. To really focus at hazard mitigation and reducing the incidence of a harm during natural disasters here, mainly flooding. But anybody who's interested in those things, definitely try to attend, be useful. And a lot of the information that comes out of that, we're trying to make sure is incorporated into our comprehensive plan that's being drafted with our contract.
Yeah, so the first part, they just wanted about 10 people, but then the second part, the room could be full, and Carlton's offered his room next to the library.
So the second part then, like, if I'm talking to somebody and I'm saying, come and like participate in this, they won't see the tabletop model or any of that. They're just gonna hear the conversation about this is what happened when we did it this way or did that thing. And so, like, they'll hear the discussion of, like, it said something about discussion on
The email that I sent.
the email. It says something about, the focused, the second part. Join us for an informative session, sharing insights from the mapping exercise and exploring collaborative approaches to regional planning. I don't know what that means. Like, if I'm talking to somebody and I say that we're going to be,
So, yes, there are small teams focused on the maps. There's the way that the prior workshop happened is after that mapping session that takes probably an hour, is a conversation. Here's what things we discussed. Here's some of the outcomes of the discussion. And then it's opportunity for further discussion about those things. The mention about collaborative and regional is because there's a lot of organizations involved regarding planning in this area. Have the there's been a lot of movement in the state to do flood mapping and flood hazard studies, through, I think what region we fall in is like the Guadalupe River Basin planning that's gone on. Obviously, you have Caldwell County involved, and there's other organizations. So,
will they
Charm,
be here for any of that?
Yes.
I believe many of them will. I don't know if all of them will, but they're.
But some of
Yeah, they'll be.
the other stakeholders would be here besides us.
Mhm.
And then, my only other question was, I was confused because if you could just get some crayons out and draw me a picture like I'm a 2-year-old. What I understood happened was that there was a meeting, a workshop scheduled to discuss the community survey results, and then it got canceled. And then at the next council meeting, we said, oh, we're actually gonna combine that meeting with the charm thing. And I don't understand how they're fitting together.
Well, I think they're gonna discuss those surveys after we do the charm. They wanted to get through the charm workshop, and then they're gonna
And
come
then
back and
during-
do that.
Oh, a separate time.
Mhm.
So it's not during the
No.
community thing where like we invite everyone that wants to
No,
come.
that's
So just don't say that. That would be wrong.
right.
And I
That
will
would
get
be-
beat up if I say that.
Okay.
All right.
Not by anybody in this room.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't naming names. I'm just making sure I know what to say, like of what you're coming for. And we do have people from the planning, the long-term planning grant that are coming to this because we want them to incorporate the charm results into our long-term planning. That's why they're here, but they're not doing a presentation for us. They're just here to participate in learning all that stuff and figuring out how it fits with all the other stuff that they know, and they might like throw us a bone here and there of how it all fits together.
Or they might just ask probing questions
Yeah.
to take back into assess.
I love probing questions. They're my favorite kind of question, really.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure, so I'm telling people the right thing and they don't come here and go, what was that? They'll know.
And so I invited Ed Theory Road for like the 10th person because
Good one.
I think it'd be good to have a county liaison,
Mhm,
know what we're up
mhm,
to
mhm,
around here.
mhm, mhm.
Okay. Okay, so I think on the wastewater management, we're gonna combine that 2.3 with the 3.4 and 3.5 so that we can talk about all that at the same time. Do you mind, Matthew? Just kind of skip you for a little bit. Okay, so there's a page that our accountant has prepared
Oh, yeah.
that tells us, he and Donna looked up a whole bunch of information as to what the costs were on each lift station. Right.
It just seems, based on this, that based on the level of attention we've been giving the Martindale Apartments, that the expense on this doesn't show it. on this
Yeah.
report. It-
Surprisingly.
It doesn't,
Yeah,
I think there might be a dollar value in the wrong column. On that.
well, this is the information that's been scanned into our
So, Pete, have you looked at,
systems.
have you looked at this is this the first, have you seen the spreadsheet?
Here,
No, it was the first one.
So.
no, he just.
What we're trying to do is get an idea of what kind of expenses we've had at each of those lift stations. To
And
say,
this
you know,
doesn't include this event that just
yeah,
happened.
of course, yeah. But give us an idea where, from a troubleshooting standpoint, what we have ignored and what we need to, stop spending silly money on. Yeah, you already know the rest of the sentence, right? But we discussed it, but we've not created, and the mayor and I had a conversation on Monday about it, was creating a plan to stop incurring an expense that basically ruins the budget for the wastewater department over one thing. And every year we've been knocking on wood. We almost made a calendar year again, and here we are with a huge, forget about the cost of the equipment, which at some point you need. It's the maintenance, you know what I'm talking about. We spend a lot of money pumping. And then that's something we'd like to avoid. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
It's just a waste of,
It's just a waste of money,
Yeah,
Without that cost, you can buy a couple of pumps.
Well, yeah, I know. I think we all came to that conclusion in the last meeting, at the emergency meeting, that it was getting, when you guys see the bill, how much
Yeah.
we spent for pumping for the last 2 weeks, it's
It was like a week at least.
It's silly. It's silly. But anyway, we'd like to confirm that this is the Martindale Apartments versus the Madison and the Crockett. Obviously, if you can go back and look and see if maybe there's a,
I got some old notes from pre-pandemic when this problem started, so it shouldn't really be a surprise.
so if you could update, take a look at this and see if there's any, maybe there's, the accountant has misunderstood where the expense has been.
Okay.
Based upon your attention bring it to our attention about the apartments, only spending $1,900 in repairs in the last 2 years,
Yeah,
does
it
not
is.
sound right.
It's we haven't had any issue with that station, so I better knock on wood on that.
Yeah, I know.
I know a lot of that stuff is, it's kind of old, and we had a lot of premature, damage during the pandemic. When we had those blackouts and stuff, the starters and all that, just go back and forth.
Yeah.
That messes up your starters and your contacts, all that stuff. So we've been lucky that I know that someday that we're gonna have to replace them.
Well, I know we're doing some upgrades with the grant,
Yeah.
so hopefully that covering.
So what do y'all want me to do with the spreadsheet?
See if you can validate, if you agree with those expenses against those dates, based on your notes, and see if they're, you know what I mean?
so on this last thing that happened when the pump failed. And we bought a new pump for $15,603.56. And then we cleaned the lift station for $3,595.80. So those two things really are normal maintenance kinds of things that we would have had to have spent money on. And then what was extra was the trucks that were carrying the wastewater out to the wastewater system. We have one bill for $5,299.96. And then one bill for $10,171. And then extra time for Pete at $1,725 for answering and facilitating all these different activities. So that was kind of the extra expense on that. I also wanted to, like Pete's monthly reports, I had kind of put in most of this year's. And if you notice, the very last sentence says Crockett lift station repairs, generator, transfer box, pump bowl, and pump repairs. I had given to the city council about a month ago the preliminary report that Thomas Turk had done for what the grant was going to cover. And so the generator and some of these things, a lot of the electrical things at the lift station would be covered by the grant. The pump itself is not. And that was some of the questions.
In case you want to talk about one of the steps.
Okay.
That was some of the things that the council members were asking about. Is what did the grant cover and what does it not cover? So I don't know if anybody had time to go over those expenses from what the grant does cover. Another thing that has come in the last day or two, Thomas Turk has given us an email about, it's this one,
You didn't give me that one.
on what we're going out for bid. I think I did. You want to look?
I can look, but
Yeah, there's a lot of things missing on this. There's at least 3 pump ragged up calls here, plus last year's Crockett. I think what's happening here is Dwayne, under the old accounting system, had 2 spots and it wasn't consistently utilized where costs were being allocated. So I highly suspect that this is only telling half the story.
That would basically coincide with what I thought too. Because I know we had almost we had an $8,000 bill at Martindale over here, the apartments. I remember going, and that's when we started the education, was over what we thought was a silly, stupid one. And it was like almost $8,000. I think it was. It
Yeah.
was expensive. It wasn't 10, but it was high. I was
was
like,
high.
you gotta be kidding, you know?
What year was that?
That was last year.
some
For
of
the apartments.
They're flushing.
Remember, we were having so much
Yeah,
trouble
we
with
were
the
flushing.
apartment lift station.
Wipes.
And even
Looks
we
more
were
wipes.
pumping Crockett last August of 23, and I don't see that on here.
Yeah, that was that was the last event before this one.
So was the apartment approved? What they're doing over there? They had any more issues with them?
No, I haven't.
Not for some time.
Is that last time?
The last time?
Last fall, last November was probably the last one I seen.
If you want us, Mayor, to buy another pump for Crockett.
Well, there's 2 things that we have to do tonight.
Mhm.
One, the way we worded it on the agenda was to kind of suspend the purchasing requirements. How did we word it here? Motion to suspend purchasing policy procedures so that we can get everything done at the Crockett lift station that we need to. And one of the things that we're gonna have to approve and is part of what we're there is this $15,000 to the wastewater treat transportation people for moving all of the sewage from the Crockett lift station out to the treatment
How
plant.
much did we give you on the special session?
That was 25, so that covered the cost of the pump and,
You'll be short then to cover.
yeah, we're short to cover it. And,
Because we thought it was gonna be less than 10, and obviously,
and so it came in, I've got a whole ream of paper here on the cost of,
So Dwayne said, and I'm sorry, Dwayne, let me put you so you can unmute yourself just in case. So yeah, you can now unmute yourself if you'd like, but he did mention in the chat, we went through both accounts. These invoices are not all marked as to which lift station. I do not remember significant expenses on apartments. Although the cleanouts were frequent, we have utility funds to cover pumping expenses. We'll need capital funds to cover pump replacement costs.
That makes sense because they're long-term
so you're.
infrastructure items,
That's
but
our money
yeah,
that we have to spend it.
yep. And so one of the things, are we discussing the purchasing item? What agenda item are we on from there? Or we want to
Well-
discuss both of them at the same time?
So it started off with like, the wastewater management at 2.3. The Crockett Street lift station repairs, and I'm kind of morphing into 3.4 and 3.5. Because we're gonna have to decide if, the city council needs to decide if we want to buy a new pump, repair the old one. I think last time they were saying buy a second one since there wasn't a huge cost difference. And then the purchasing policy procedures being suspended until we can get all these costs covered. And one of the costs, we didn't know how much it was gonna cost for the transportation. And I don't know what else, is there gonna be any other costs?
Yes. So Pete, I know we've talked about getting quotes for elbows, elbow pipe. Does that still, let's confirm, that's still cracked, right?
Yeah, see, and I got the new one. It came with this new pump.
A new elbow came with a
Yeah.
new pump,
No, we
and
need
that was covered under this.
this.
And then what about the pump bowl that sits on top of the pipe?
Yeah, it sits on the concrete floor,
Okay,
and then the pump sits right on top, that hooks up to that.
so if we buy a second pump, we can put that down on the ground and they're both sitting on their own fully functional pipes. And they can be fully functional, because one of the issues has been one of the pipes leading from the pump is broke. So when you turned it on, it would just spin
That's
one.
that's the elbow that has a hole in the side of it.
All right, so the elbow's been fixed, or
Well,
being fixed. It's ordered though, it's on
Well, I
contract.
got it.
So does that mean we
No,
have to
it's in
empty it
it's
again?
It's in my position, but the elbow.
Yeah.
Which is the pump bowl.
Okay, so the elbow and a pump bowl is the same thing.
Yeah, well, no, that's two different things. The pump is different. And then you have the pump bowl itself.
Okay,
The
pump bowl
sits in
holds the elbow, which holds the pump.
Oh, the whole pump bowl is together. And
Okay.
it's anchored down to the concrete at the very bottom.
All right.
And then, once
We need
that's
a
set,
whiteboard.
when you lower the pump, it sits right on the.
On the
that
bowl.
pump bowl. And then it's.
Below the bowl is the pump.
Oh, the bowl, the pump's on top,
I mean, the pipe, the elbow pipe. Where's the elbow pipe
on the
placed?
very bottom.
Underneath the bowl,
Yeah, you see, when the pump is going down, it makes right there with the flange.
which is the bowl. It's
And
there.
when it turns on, it pumps water up to that pipe.
And and the pipe's broken up here.
No, none of the pipe is broken.
I thought we went through getting quotes.
Y'all
this
wanted to replace all the piping at one time in 2020.
Right. and we didn't, because we didn't because we're going to get the ARPA funds. We got the ARPA funds and then, oh wait, we can apply for these funds. We got those funds. Or we're going to apply for them. We wait, we saw, we got it. Then we find out what was put on the bid and it finds out that the pump and the pipes and the bowls aren't on there. It's basically all the electrical system stuff that needed to be done, which is good. And fencing, which is good. But then we still need to fix the issue, because what happened last August, if I'm not mistaken, what happened last August is we have 2 pumps in the ground, in the well. If we turn one on, because the pipes are broke, it just spins the
It's
water,
not the pipe, Jerry, pump bowl itself, right on the
pump
back.
bowl. So what's the elbow pipe that needed to be done in 2020 that never got done?
That's, we call it a pump bowl, is what it is.
Okay,
So
so,
what it is, it's just a radius of a 90, instead of a span.
okay,
And pump sits right on top of that span. And then rates it to a flange. She's got pictures of the well there.
So confused.
all right, I'm gonna send something to
So-
her real quick.
What Jared was
Okay, where's
explaining to
what's the
me,
picture?
So which,
which picture?
There's the stuff we're saying. Yeah, pipe there, Jerry.
Mm,
On the one on this side. Right there, see that pipe right there, it goes all the way to the bottom. And at the very bottom, you can see that pump, the old pump bowl down at the very bottom.
You can zoom in.
so you mean this dark part?
Yeah, so it's a stand, that's what it is, really. See that new pump's already in there, this side. And it's
You're supposed to have 2 in there, right?
it's a dual lift station, yeah.
But
So-
but basically in a nutshell, what Gary's trying to get to is that one, it's a redundant system. One goes down, the other one is available.
You can, yeah, all you gotta do is isolate the other so the water will come back.
So right now, the plumbing on the one of them, the bowl, the plumbing
Yeah,
is broken,
right,
okay, right?
that's what started the whole.
And it's
problem.
down at the bottom. Okay,
And,
So it wasn't a rag that started the problem.
no, what it was, that just rusted out, that pump bowl at the bottom. On the very bottom, it had nothing to do with rags or nothing like that, it just rusted out.
but you got rusted out, but the motor is no good, the one that we pulled out.
Correct. No, it was good because we replaced it over to that's the one that was operating that went out.
No, I mean, right now, this last time,
Yeah, so that's the one that we had on that other slot, the one that's where the broken elbow is.
all right, at some point, I want to go over there with you, okay? Because I gotta
This is so
understand this.
confusing.
This is very confusing for all of us. Well, basically what I know is how much this is gonna cost for us to make this the way it was when it was originally installed.
Okay, let me go back though. So you're
Okay.
supposed to have 2 pumps down there in the water. Okay, and the pipes that go to each pump. So when we purchase a second pump, it's not an extra one that's going to the
No.
shed. Both pumps go
You gotta
down
have 2 pumps in
into,
there. You gotta have 2 pumps in that station for it to operate.
but in order to put the second pump in, we
You gotta
have
put-
to repair
You gotta
pipe.
put that pump, I'm gonna call it a pump stand, that's what it is. And where the pump sits, right on top of that pipe stand. that's where it
You want me to
makes-
show the numbers?
yeah,
On the plan.
Yeah, it's got to connect, so it has a pathway to shoot it to the next
It shoots
pathway.
it straight up to that pipe. back
Yeah,
to
so it
the-
goes down, so I know, it goes down to the next level. It's gotta go up and then down.
No, it goes horizontal.
Yeah, but it's gotta get up. It's gotta get up to
Yeah,
the pipe.
it puts about maybe about.
so these are some old quotes from about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They described this as a base elbow and piping for bypass. You don't have this, I just went digging in my email, history. And was trying to get these requoted once we found out that the latest grant wasn't going to do any work inside the well. Going to do work outside the well. So we need to contract for work in the well. They call in base elbows, base stands.
Yeah.
All right, so we have these base stands that need to be repaired.
I have-
That's one complete unit.
Yes.
All right.
Together.
It's all together.
Upgrade up.
Just bolt it down. And then the pump. Perfect. So that's already on order.
No, the pump, it's already here.
It's here.
Yeah, we got it with that, pump, the new pump that we.
So we got a new pump on the old bowl on one of the systems. We have a second stand here on the ground that needs to be
Yeah,
installed.
we gotta take the old one out and put the other.
Okay. So if the recommendation would be a bypass of purchasing policy to purchase a second stand. That we have two new stands down there because like you said, they're 27 to 30, 33 years old. Get two new stands on that sucker. If they're already sending someone down the hole, all hazmated up. Let's get it all done at the same time.
He says it came with the unit though, right?
No, but it was a separate order. I had gotten a bid for the.
Oh.
And it added that elbow on.
Okay.
We needed that.
So we'll get that fixed.
So it was a
Well,
separate order.
So now we're gonna have right now on the ground in Martindale, we have a new pump and a new elbow, one set, one full unit. We need to buy a whole second unit,
We just gotta buy a pump for that thing.
A new elbow.
the new elbow. Because if it's,
But
if
you
that
wanna buy-
last,
You wanna buy a spare one.
well,
How much is the elbow?
here's what I thought happens. You have two pumps down there sitting on two stands, and then they have, after this, they connect somehow and then go.
Or it just sits on top of that pipe. What it does.
So they unify into one pipe eventually, right?
That's it.
So if we get one complete unit, but we don't have a whole new complete unit over here, we don't have redundancy down in the well.
Like if the first one quit.
Because that's what we were planning on using last August, was that if the one that has a broken base broke, we could take this pump and move it, and this, we could swap the pumps in the hole. Problem is the chain fell down, we couldn't fish it out.
And we used the last pump. That's the one that was on the broken side.
Yeah,
And then, after that, we had no pumps. That's why we had to order the new one.
so we ordered, but we never ordered a new one last August. Which
We had it approved.
I thought so.
No, we did.
So so right now we have the ability to have a complete new base and pump. I want to have a second new base and pump. How much was this one pump base?
I think it's a little over $1,000. Not that much.
No, the pump.
The whole package and installation, because
It
Whatever-
came in
whatever.
cheaper. It was 15 instead of 17,000.
we said 17,000, so we would do another 17,000 for a whole new kit. 17,000 for the
what
kit,
else
and
has
then,
to
and
be
then we
done?
have to, well, someone has to go down the hole and bolt this thing to the
Yeah,
ground, right?
I sent you all that timeline, what needs to happen.
All right. How, can you contract, let's do it as a subcontract. Would you be willing to subcontract out that work?
I can get a contractor.
Because you're not going down the hole with a hazmat suit and oxygen tanks and all the bit to do the thing.
That's gonna be the responsibility of the contractor.
And they're gonna have a pump truck there sucking it while they do it also, right?
Either that, or they can install a bypass on the existing wet well, pump water out of that, and then make a tap into that bell box where the bells are at.
Mm-hmm.
Tie a hose to there, then
So nothing's coming into the well. And they can get down there and work while it's mostly dry.
we'll probably plug both ends of that.
Okay. At one point, I think on this quote had also necessary piping for that bypass. And so we could have a bypass system on site that you could
That would
leverage.
eliminate the truck being there.
Right. So how do we get the bypass system also installed? Is that what's kind of the cost driver here?
That's the contractor should be doing that. That's why I wrote it in a timeline, I guess.
So for the official schoolhouse record, we're buying a second pump, a second base assembly, and a bypass system. We're buying the equipment and the installation services in a bit all at once. Like
Everything will be
I
new.
want the job done, like, in-
Who doesn't?
in
No, no,
In
no.
like
okay,
in like 3
We just
weeks.
spent $15,000. To be quite honest with you, it's a waste of money
What was it?
over,
Actually.
how much is the bypass material? How much is
18,000.
Well, you didn't need to purchase the bypass, somebody would install it in there,
No, but we want to have a bypass that
or you can. leave
Pete
it
can
there.
go in and flip the switch.
You can put a pump in there, a wet well, with a switch, like you said. Just hook a hose to the bypass tap, I guess, but you gotta tap that cast iron line.
Okay.
And the valve, you gotta put a valve behind it so you can.
So
How do you get it? How do you do it?
Huh?
How can we make it so that Pete can go down there?
We need a pump for one thing. And,
All right.
a macerator pump?
yeah, or it's gotta be a three-phase power pump,
Okay.
and then it has enough power, enough head for it to pump all the way to the wastewater plant.
That's a big sucker. It's going to be like these other ones.
Yeah, and then,
Are we better off not buying a second base and just putting the whole second pump on an independent
you're
system?
better off just making that repair. But
Wait, say that again.
you're better off just making the repair and get it over with it, get the pump, because we already have the base.
Okay.
Drop the base in there, that have somebody bolt it down there, then drop the pump and then wire it up.
And things get ragged up and the pump goes haywire on us. What then? If we do exactly only what you said.
Well, eventually, that's the whole principle behind it. You're gonna make the repair, you gotta drop the pump bolt in there.
All right, Pete. Am I buying, how many pumps do we need to have? 2 or
Just
3?
Just do.
All right. Where's the second pump going? Is it back on the base at the bottom, connecting to the same pump, the same pipe, or are we connecting it to a bypass system?
No, you gotta be all pumps. But it is, the bypass is when you're doing the repair, so that,
But if we have the option to do it during repair, couldn't we do the same thing and have the option to do it when we have an event where a pump goes out? So we don't have to get a Vector truck out here?
I mean, you can do the connections there and buy a pump and just drop it in there. Just exercise it every once in a while.
Okay, buy a pump, drop it in there every once in a while.
Well, how else are you gonna get the water out?
Are there,
You gave me a scenario there that both pumps go out.
oh no, I'm saying, instead of having the system where you have 1 pump, 2 pump, all eventually connecting to the same singular one pipe. And if we,
This connect is the same pipe.
I'll go back to the picture.
There should be 2.
Two.
There has to be because of redundant
Yeah,
systems.
because on the valve, there's a valve box on the other side where you isolate both pumps. There's 1 pump and 2 pumps.
Yeah, see, there's your 2. That's a good picture right there, because there's 2.
Is there 2?
Yeah,
There's another one.
Can you point to it?
right here,
Wait, point on the other TV.
behind
You
that.
might be able to reach there.
Behind that railing right there, right
Yeah.
between the railing, this sort of pump.
Oh, got
There
it.
is,
Okay,
yeah.
And then the pump just slides down that guide
okay.
to the pump base and you drop it.
And so it's the L. And it's broke under the water or
It's got a
above the
hole on
water?
the side of it, on that 90 unit when it turns. It's got-
Right there at the top above the water?
No, not that one, at the very bottom.
At the very bottom.
At the bottom coming up.
Yeah.
Bomb coming up. Okay,
The-
got it. So
Thanks,
So once
Jerry.
we have
You see it when-
those pipes with the both up that are coming up out of the water, is everything above the water line in this picture okay?
Well, we had talked about it back in 2020, that y'all wanted to replace some stainless steel at one time,
Right.
Remember that.
and it never happened, so. I don't know if y'all wanna do that now, or if you wanna wait or something.
So right now, that's carbon steel, and how old is that?
That ductile iron, it's probably about, since 2007, I mean, that's when it was put in.
So I see what Jared's saying. If we're gonna go in there with hazmat, we need to go there and do it all.
Yes.
We need to get new elbows, we need to get whatever pipe we can get to needs to be replaced while we're
It's
in
old,
there.
I hate to put-
We just
I hate to put new
wasted
stuff over old stuff,
$15,000.
I mean,
Yeah. Like what if we go there and basically replace all the guts? All the plumbing in that well is new. And it's basically a capital reinvestment program inside that wet well.
Yeah, you wanna put something in there that's not gonna rust. It's a lot of hydrogen sulfide gas and all that. It's heating up. That's ductile iron that's in there, but,
So it's old iron. It's not,
yeah,
it's Pete, it's iron, it's not cast iron, it's iron.
it's ductal iron.
Ductile iron.
Yeah.
So are you gonna have compatibility with the ferrous and the non-ferrous? With your stainless and your,
Oh, that's a good point.
Maybe, yeah.
What I
You
mean,
have
where you
problems.
bolt them
you
up.
can't, yeah,
up
you're
the
gonna
wall.
have ferrous
Connect.
contamination.
The very bottom.
You're gonna have ferrous contamination. You can't put stainless steel on carbon steel on, stainless
Yeah,
steel.
you have interference, yeah.
So it's gotta be one or the other. So
We can use whatever materials came in. The quotes back then, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, were approximately the same price. It was actually a touch cheaper to go stainless. At that time.
Yeah,
But now-
that's close, yeah.
So right now, we got a choice of carbon steel or they ductile, they've done away with the iron, right? They don't use that duct.
A lot of people are going with stainless steel now, wastewater.
Yeah, but the whole system's stainless steel, isn't it? I mean, up to
Yeah,
a
all the way,
certain
all
point.
the way to the bowl.
Yeah, so it's gonna have to be all stainless at that point. We can't piece it in. So I'd say go back with the original. If it lasted that long,
It's been there for a while, I know that.
yeah.
It's 2007, that's when they,
Is it starting to fail?
no,
But he's talking about corrosion. no
it's just
longer.
corrosion.
Oh, okay.
You can't mix the two.
No, it's like brass and galvanized.
Okay, so I'm thinking that's gonna be $50,000-$60,000 to do that type of work. I mean, but just given that we bought, the equipment itself was 10 to 15.
Well, the pump itself was 15, just over 15,000.
That also includes the base assembly.
Right, yeah.
So 15 for a new pump and a base assembly. And then another $20,000, $30,000 to go in there and bolt it all in.
Yeah, like I said, I have to get somebody, so they gotta go and do this job.
So, yeah, let's summarize right now. So right now, on this current job that we just did, just get an idea how much it cost to put another pump in. How much did we spend to send someone down there to do the pump work?
Well, to clean it all out, that was another $4,000.
That was, nobody had to go down there, just, they had that back equipment, they had that volume.
Okay, okay, that makes sense.
But,
So basically you just dropped a new pipe on the one
'Cause
bowl
he did
that's
change-
not broken.
Yeah, he did change the bowl.
Yeah.
So you put a new pump, a new pump on an old bowl.
And we have a new bowl, but we haven't got it.
So are we still missing a bill, I wonder? Because when you say clean the lift station, all of the stuff out of there,
that right here took place when,
that was $3,600.
yeah, that's when we replaced, when we installed the pump.
$3,600 was to put the pump in.
Yeah, so now they cleaned all the,
Cleaned it
So
out.
when we put another pump in, it's gonna be another $3,600 minimum.
I heard
So we
something.
ain't gotta put a bowl in,
We
because
have
the other
to,
bowl is broken.
yeah, we gotta put the bowl in where the broken one is.
Yeah.
At
they
least.
got to clean it all up, and stuff, so they can see.
My
That's gonna cost more
thought,
than
my thought is if you're gonna send someone down the hole, and based on the prior quotes, that was gonna be the bulk of the cost, was to get a guy 40 feet down into a well and bolt it all together. Let's have him
Let's
bolt two of them while he's down there, instead of just one. And then if we're at that point, let's, as an all, maybe we're looking at replacing the rest of the plumbing as well. But
And did I hear something? We put a new pump in an old bowl?
Yes.
Catch that?
Yeah, because the bowl, so there's two bowls on the bottom.
Yeah.
One's been broken since I know 2000, I think, since
Since 2020.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's been here, Mayor and I talked about it, since before I moved back. And, so that was broken. They keep changing this one. So basically it's on the rail, you just drop it down and it engages the bowl. That bowl is the pathway to go to the wastewater system. So they can't put another one down. So no one's actually gone down there this time. It costs us $3,600 just to clean and do that, which is, to be honest with you, that's just absurd, but that's what it is. But
So-
someone has to go down there.
So you have to go down and replace the bowl.
Yeah.
You have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So, like I said, I'm with Jared. If we're going to do all this, we need to go ahead and put new bowl, all new piping, And I would not try to reinvent the wheel, go with, if it's all fair, if it's all carbon steel, you do carbon steel.
I mean.
The key is gonna be, we can waive our own purchasing requirements, but we can't waive the state's purchasing requirements. And when we get to $50,000, we start running into
Okay.
issues regarding complying with state requirements on the bidding process. So,
We
And we're just talking about the Crockett.
Yeah,
That's it, yeah. That's all we need to get.
So what are the other two stations like, lift stations like? Cause like we just had an alarm at the Madison one
Yeah, that was just an.
during the
extra job, really.
storm,
Yeah, and then just had a storm.
but the grant
a lot,
is,
too much water came in faster than the pumps could pump.
No, what happened, I guess lightning hit and it tripped the pumps
Okay.
and that created the alarm.
And so you just go in and reflip the switch.
Reset it.
and the grant is replacing all the electrical stuff, right?
We talked about it.
I don't know if it's going to everywhere. It might just be Crockett.
I think you're right.
Because they had the electrical guy come out here, do a survey. Madison lift station's fairly new. It's the newest lift station that we have in the system.
That one was built in 2007.
Yeah, so it's, that one, if anything happens there, it's basically a power conditioner thing to make sure in a brownout scenario, we're not ruining pump motors. But there was what's that thing that you put? Like basically some sort of interrupter, power supply interrupter, phase monitor over, before it hits those pumps.
And it has one.
It has those already. So, that wouldn't be needed there. I know that apartments were looking at getting a phase monitor out there. That might be part of this grant. I have to go back and look
I
that
didn't
up.
mean to confuse everybody because it's just the terminology that I use, you know.
Yeah.
So.
It works. So if we're seeking approval, it would be for no more than $50,000. And it would be only for the, basically wet well recapitalization program, replacing the second, the base assembly, and then the two pipes.
I think what they call it here, I would say it's a base L, that's what it is.
Okay, so did anybody want to know anything about the other two lift stations? What the condition is on those?
I'm scared to ask.
But they could use some maintenance, I mean, they have already done a lot of maintenance on the pumps, really.
So when you say maintenance, what would that
Well, I mean, Go
include?
over all your controls and your starters and all that, and pull out your pumps, inspect them. You know, you suspect something, check the oil in. You got a bad seal, send them to the shop.
Can you assess those and give us a written report?
I can do that.
Okay.
I think it'd just be some extra costs to pay to you, but for the time.
Well, that's part of maintenance, you know, I always done that before. A long time ago, I used to, that was part of my maintenance, like when Bay Battle's here, that's what I used to do.
Whatever that contract was from long before, let's make sure that we use that contract
We
going
duplicate
forward.
it.
Yeah.
Because I think we might have screwed up writing the contract on this one,
Yeah.
to
Some
make
of
sure
the-
that work is being
some of the
done.
language I didn't like it.
On the one you're currently on.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to 2.3, Crockett Street lift station repairs, are there any questions about what has gone on so far with the Crockett Street lift station? And what's been? Okay, so we still have to pay for those, that $16,000 for the trucks moving it. Okay, so we'll go down to 3.4. Motion to approve or deny the purchasing of a new pump for Crockett Lift Station.
This is pump
Two.
2. If we want, maybe we can amend that to also include the base assembly and both pipings from the base assembly.
Well,
Do we have any idea what the piping is gonna cost?
Yeah, from 2 years ago, let's look, what's the date on this one, Brianna?
Oh.
Scroll up, it'll show you the date.
The other up,
Oh.
the other up.
The other,
Oh, sorry. January 2021, so it's about
Oh,
close to 3 years old, so we add 50% to what you see here.
Okay, so what did you ask them to do?
And then at that one, it was, if you scrolled back down,
To replace all the
it
piping.
was replace all the piping, and it was about, I think the most expensive option was $30,000.
Jeez.
well, it's gonna be our CIP program for the year.
So there we go. The riser pipes, that's what they're called. So the most, 36,000, 37,000. So that's probably getting you close
So
nowadays.
37 plus another pump system of 15.
In labor.
Yeah,
So no,
Well, that's what I mean there.
That's in there, that's in.
That's what two pump bulbs, that's what it says.
Yeah, 2 pump bulbs. So you actually, it will be 1 bulb, but 2 risers. So it probably.
Yeah, but if
somewhere
you're down
closer.
there, why would you, and you have, why would you change it? I mean, you talk about changing everything, change it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're already, this is basically a $20,000 to go down the whole fee is basically what I'm looking at. Is
Exactly.
that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, that 18.
18 gives you an idea, just to go down the hole, it's 20,000 to go down the hole. You wanna do as much work as possible.
It's another 8 to install the riser pipes off that one, and then to do,
Because they're
The
talking about
second-
a bypass.
yeah, that might not be, that doesn't sound like what
Yeah,
he's
but it's,
suggesting.
I should have never said that, but anyway, we usually put them in, and you know, when we're gonna bypass the main lift station. So we can have continuous service of the town, that way we'll back the town up, and that would eliminate the pumping wastewater with the wastewater.
Wasn't that what happened when there was all that ice? Didn't they have to bypass it? Whenever it snowed and all
Well, that
that?
goes back to the original question I thought we had answered, but maybe we had. Is it better for us to install a bypass system?
Yeah,
one pump
and plus that,
in the well, or is it better to have 2 pumps in the well?
just wanna be enough.
So it's better just to, right now, the system was designed to have 2 systems, so you, in theory, would never have to pump out of it. It's continuous,
Yeah,
because one goes down, the other one's
Never
working,
starts working.
right?
And that was the original.
And you can always pull it out, replace it, and then drop it right back down on the bulb, which is basically what you just did.
And that's the original design.
That's the design of that system. Other systems that have a single should have a bypass, so that you can drop down and then. You don't have to pump.
that would,
The pumping's what kills you.
let's say if you have a bad storm or hurricane or something, you get a portable pump, get up to that bypass, pump water with it from the wet well to the wastewater plant,
Or
but for pumping wastewater.
the ATS, the transfer switch, that and the electronics are going to be replaced under the grant. That's assuming 2 pumps, be able to alternate them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exercise them.
I mean, like I said, if you want to put a bypass and you can leave the connections there, all you need is a portable pump. Like a pressure. 3-inch pump or 4-inch pumps. Like that. Just hook it up, with the quick connects, with the cam lock.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah.
I'm trying to make it real.
It's not complicated. You have to see it. You have to
Yeah,
see
you
it.
know.
It's hard to describe it. Yeah.
So, all right, maybe as a cost savings measure, we leave the riser pipes in place and we just replace both bottoms.
Good.
That way we're not getting close to that 50,000 ceiling. And there's no reason the riser pipes have given you any issues to this point. It'd be preventative, but the odds are if one riser pipe breaks, well, guess what? We still have our redundant entire
Yeah.
system with the
I've
other
had
riser
one,
pipe.
I've had one go out on me in another place, but ended up putting like a clamp on it. Temporary.
It's repairable in a lot of cases.
No, yeah, I guess, yeah, just put a sleeve.
It's
Yeah.
it's repairable.
It's a full circle. the bolts on these,
Yeah.
I sit down on the bolts, they,
Okay. Let's ditch the riser pipes then. We're just doing another pump, another base, and then so.
And the bolt, but we still gotta change to one bolt.
Yeah, one bolt, one more bolt, one more pump, and then someone going down there and installing both of the base assembly bolts.
what do you wanna do with the, I guess with the wastewater, I guess? Do you want us to put a bypass in there or just a temporary bypass?
I mean, if they have to put a temporary bypass in while the guy goes down in the hole, and we can just keep it in place.
I'm pretty sure, you can't take it after you step into it. It'll be good for the future.
Sure.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah, 'cause you can always drop a pump in there.
Yeah, I get you.
I had one before, they know where, we got one up here.
Because it don't mean.
Oh, yeah, just a little, yeah.
It's got a flange thing that you take a tap off, you throw a pump in there, pump wastewater, and they'll go up here to Oxford Street.
If they're putting a bypass in order to do the work, let's go ahead and make that happen. If they don't need to put a bypass in to do the work, but we have a fully redundant system in the well,
Yeah.
I think that's
just can't-
sufficient.
I just can't see them not doing it without the bypass because you have.
So what would a bypass cost us to put a bypass?
That I don't know.
Well, they're basically showing it was 18.
it goes from
That's
20
2
years
years
ago.
ago.
It goes from 22,000 to 36,000. Will that include the riser pipes though?
How much is the bypass?
Well, maybe.
He didn't know.
Oh, it's a 22. Do base elbows and a bypass, 22,000. So maybe add 50% to that. You're looking at maybe $33,000.
at most.
Yeah.
We're gonna be close to the 50 again.
I think.
But the pump, the pump will
we
be
have
purchased off a
bypass.
different procurement.
You have to move water out.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta pump water, you get a bypass.
Gotcha.
You got a crash pump in there, if you got an emergency situation, if we're in there, might as well put a bypass in.
Sure, if you want, because it'll be a separate.
I agree.
Well, we haven't listed that.
And we have one there at the medicine.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, put a bypass in.
Oh, we have one at the Madison.
We need to do that for all of them, they'd be bypass.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, if it costs us, I mean, we don't,
That'll save a lot of the pumping costs.
yeah, it's common sense, just put a by, but whatever, I mean, if it's, I think we're already in there, just to put a bypass in it.
You read that out there,
Yep, put it,
one for me.
So what we'll do is, I was talking to Jared, we'll do 3, 4, that way we're not going over the 50. Do one motion, just like you set up the agenda, one to do the purchase of another pump. And then do another one, like you said, to suspend to go,
So that we can
Turn it off.
deal with this.
so we don't go over the 50
Thank
and
you.
then have, because the second one will be by itself, so the pump is by itself. It splits the cost.
Okay,
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a new pump for the Crockett lift station.
okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any more
I have
discussion?
a discussion, is this gonna include a bypass?
No, we're gonna do, all we're doing right now is purchasing the pump right now. We're gonna make another motion to address the repairs.
Got it,
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mayor, are you gonna order the pump? I gave you the information.
No, you ordered the pump.
Okay, you ordered it the last time, I gave you the.
I did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, you give me the information.
Can you do this? Work with the supplier, send the purchase order for signature to Catherine
Yeah.
and myself, and we'll sign it.
And we'll sign it.
But we don't want to contact the supplier because we want to screw it up. I want you to do, I want you to do that.
Yeah,
All you need is a purchase the item. or
I
something.
think all I had to do last.
You do the
time was
arrangement, have them send us the purchase order
I
for
just need a
signature.
sign off on it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and none opposed, the motion carries. Okay, now, to suspend purchasing policy procedures in order to get the repairs done at the Crockett
Mayor.
lift station.
Did anybody second that motion?
Yes.
Laura.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Laura.
Okay, I just,
Jared, I wanna ask one more thing.
Yeah.
I need to buy a battery for that generator. So that we can get it over, so we'll see.
I thought you had already done that.
No, that's why I asked you all this.
Yeah, you had
Is it
told
okay
me
to-
that you had a place where you were gonna
Yeah,
go
we're
buy
gonna,
it.
that Sir Power up here in San Marcos.
Yeah,
So like a few $100, right?
Yeah, you're talking about,
you said we had an account there
yeah,
and they'll send us a bill? Okay,
That works.
I'll bring you the receipt.
that sounds good. Okay, is somebody ready to make a motion
Do I
on?
need to be specific about the level of repairs, or can I just leave it blank based on previous discussion?
I know, I mean, it's a two pump bowl assemblies and any other required work to complete the
Okay, so-
installation.
I make a motion to suspend the purchasing policy procedures in order to do the repairs at the Crockett Lift Station, including the bowls for the system and the, any other maintenance that is deemed by Pete when he's there.
I'll second that.
It's good. This is gonna include, I'm sorry, let me a second. Discussion, this including the bypass or not?
Yes, including the bypass.
Why don't you put that also in there?
I'll amend the motion to include the bypass.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I hear none opposed, so the motion carries.
I'll get the,
Thank you,
The
Pete,
quotes,
for
excuse me. No, no
coming.
worries.
I hope your
No.
granddaughter had a good
Don't send me
birthday.
quotes, send me purchase orders for signature.
Go right to the. Just go
Send it
ask
to
for
both
purchase
of
order,
us.
don't make them go double step.
Yeah,
Assume, if you understand the scope of the work, assume you do and ask for purchase order. If it comes back and they go, you missed up, then they'll correct it before.
They're
Otherwise, you're
welcome
doing a
to
double step.
come in, take a look and have their contracting send us a purchase order, but I don't need to review a quote unless you need to review a quote, but it doesn't need to be done by me. I just
no,
want
not you,
to,
but me, I
yeah,
can do that.
you do the quote, you work with them, make sure they understand the scope of work that's being required and make sure it can be done like lickety split and send us a purchase order. Let's make it happen.
You wanted a purchase order from the contractor?
If you want to subcontract it, if you feel comfortable doing that way, I'm happy to contract it that way as well.
I'll wait, I haven't seen how it goes.
and
I wanna
send
get-
it to both of us.
I will.
Yeah.
Again, sorry for all the
Thank you,
confusion.
Pete.
man.
How old?
I don't think that's your fault.
There you go. But they were gonna have
Oh,
like a veterans, she was gonna participate in a veterans, they at her school, but I didn't make it.
oh,
Man.
It's all right, now I know why you needed to be here.
yes, yes.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry for
Thank you for your
Put it to you,
patience.
but-
Joining your granddaughters.
Yeah, it's all right. But anyway, I'll get started on that. I'll send you all the quotes and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
That was a lot of talking.
That's all I wanna
Yes.
talk. I haven't talked that much in a long time.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll go back up to 2.4,
Good.
River
Take
Advisory
care.
Board report.
How you doing, sir?
Going.
Well, I think I said that wrong, didn't I? River Appreciation Event.
San Marcos River Appreciation Day.
Okay,
So the name of the organization, we actually got an assumed name with the state and the county in order to open a bank account. So we opened a separate checking account. And there's actually in the report on the very bottom, I have the register, and there's actually money left over, so I'll be writing the check to the city to reimburse the hotel. It's like $140 or something left. So this was done by Chelsea. This is the post-event report, which was, this is standard that I found through TML from the Texas Tourism Board. And that was the report that they did, Chelsea and Sonia did originally was the pre-qualify, and this is the post report. And Chelsea did this work. All I was responsible for was to write checks during the event. So we took the financing away from them. Chelsea took care of all the marketing, and Sonia did all of the booking of all the events. On Friday, we had the movie. We had about 110 or so people were in and out of the building on the Friday. There was obviously the dancers out right before sunset, before we watched the movie.
thank you to Carlton for donating the space. So it was very well received with regard to that. And then there was a band after the movie, so I went home to bed. And then Dorothy had to go back and pay somebody at whatever time that was. So it was way past my bedtime, so.
We need to check
Yeah,
Matthew's plate, I'll be down
I went looking to pay someone earlier and they were not available, so I told Dorothy that where the checks were, so she took care of it, so. I did include with the report, though it's not in the packet, a copy of all the checks, so they are available. So I did download, and I'll be closing the checking account in a couple days, once the city cashes the check. So that's done. The next day, we had over 250 people, I know for sure, because I did a count, on Saturday, so. But it was a rolling number, you know how that goes, it was a long event, so. The band was very good. I wish more people were available to come. Sam was trying to sell his dogs the whole time. He was in and out, so. No, but I did tell him that he needed to get a dog selling permit in order to sell dogs in the Yeah, city. there's an internet vendors. Yes, exactly. So we were
Oh,
obviously
Lordy.
I was just having my fun with him and and so we were talking about that. So you see the report that talks about the live band, what was spent. 90% of the money was spent directly on the funded event. There was a few donations that were made. The estimated attendance between the 2 days is 600. How many of those were unique and not a carryover? Obviously, that's the most difficult thing to count. I do know, like I said, on Friday in specific, there was over 100 people that went in to watch the movie. So I do know that because I was in there taking pictures. So this is the third year we've had the event. There was no way for us, obviously, to directly determine hotel money because we do not have don't block hotels, and there's no collaborative system right now in place for us to know what the occupancy would have been. But obviously I do know that the duets and obviously the cafe were very, very busy on Friday and Saturday because we were in there. There's also included in here is 2 articles about documents that the San Marcos, I think, you didn't include those. They didn't get in here earlier. They didn't get in here?
Which one?
What's that?
Uh-oh. My attachments. Okay, so I have them. I'll show this again.
I have them. I just need your,
All right.
there were so many.
Well,
Good job. I'm just saying there were so.
so if no one didn't see, that was the flyer. We remember the flyer. And then there was 2 articles. This was actually from the San Marcos Daily Record. So that did make the paper.
Nice.
There we are.
There's a picture of a few.
I saw it in the paper.
Yeah.
Look.
So we actually get one of the awards went to the council of San Marcos for the can ban. And so the mayor was there and but Gleason was there, right? Yeah, Gleason. And Ed was there, Ed Theory was there, so he gave out the award. So we had, Nick was a big participant to help us organize it, obviously with Chelsea and Sonia and Joy and Dorothy as well. Like I said, all of my job was basically to write checks and they took care of everything else. Okay, so I had nothing to do. I tried not to be involved in anything beyond that.
Oh, there you go.
So did you?
I did.
There you
It's
go.
been on display.
So there you go. There's that. Yeah. Every guy with an untucked shirt for a reason.
And Jane got reelected.
Yeah, Jane, and then, yeah, Gleason didn't rerun. He did not rerun. He is a newborn. So, Chelsea also did a survey where 20 people answered about the River Appreciation, Day. Were they satisfied or very satisfied? And, that was 19 out of 20, were very satisfied or very satisfied. They were that we had a few people that they did say when they stayed with friends. So we have no actual direct
point that we can say that they rented anything. Again, that'd be nice at some point to have a mechanism to do that. And I think that's why we want this development of this organization to kind of help with that. But it was a fun event. I think it was well spent, and it got free beer in the thing, so there was some free beer during the movie, and it was,
Where the free beer.
Maybe make the
I don't remember
response to the
anyone saying free
questionnaire,
beer.
the free beer dependent on providing a response to the questionnaire.
well, the one takeaway we had was, because there was some confusion about getting funding or not getting funding, is that we need to work on, doing it earlier, obviously, and so we had several organizations which couldn't come. Because of that, because it was a conflict. And so, I think we're gonna stick with the same time of year at this point.
The date is already set.
Yeah, they all have the meeting, and the day's already set for,
When's the date?
I will call it just one.
Dorothy knows, I just sat there and. took
Maybe
notes.
we could do it the same time as the
I told him I didn't wanna
triathlon.
be involved in it.
Let's do it when it's not hot. If that ever happens.
So,
Dorothy.
It is
It's not hot.
going to be,
If that ever
I
happens.
apologize, it's gonna be exactly the same time. It's going to be the third Saturday.
Friday, Saturday.
Oh,
The Friday, Saturday of September.
Okay.
And so we did it different. We did it at night instead of carrying over in the morning. So there was a little difference, but we did a cleanup on Saturday morning. And so what happened is, we dropped people off at Skull, and they went upstream, did a cleanup, dropped stuff at Skull, and then kept going down. Dorothy and I picked all the stuff up that they dropped. And then actually Terry was with us, and Dorothy and I and Terry did a cleanup at 1979 at phase 1. And, basically the bottle caps, which the guys don't clean up, don't get the stuff that's embedded in the ground, so. Our service right now doesn't do that, so we spent a couple hours doing that. Dorothy was kind enough to get poison ivy because she didn't listen to her husband and put her hand in an area I told her not to.
bummer.
So she got a little poison ivy, and then, so that was our Saturday morning. So it was a long
Rub it on
weekend
him.
for us. But the guys did really great, and I paid for parking because I couldn't find any other way to deal with it, so I actually paid, one of the expenses, I paid for parking. For
For the eye.
5 or 6 people, down there for that, and I figured it's just the circle of life type of thing, so I'm just gonna pay for it. And I did, and I used the credit card that came with the bank account. and figured, what the heck, so.
Weekend. I
Yeah.
believe that is, I have to look now because, Terry's event is the next week, which I believe is, so. Let me get back to you on that, but we're gonna do it, yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, we always go, yeah, it's the third, yeah, because Harry's is always the 4th. Always the
You always
4th.
have to work the second.
So there's an expense, and basically we have $148.10 back, so I'll be writing a check back to the city.
It would be nice to
One
do it
day.
at the same time as the triathlon. Then you'd have that September, and then you'd have the end of October, and then you'd have the tree lighting in December.
Would you hand out the bags? Did you
Yes,
prepare
I will.
those?
The report's excellent. This is exactly what we're hoping to achieve. As we look for improvements next year, you already captured it, like how do we get more responses and hotel stay data?
It's all Chelsea. She did a
So,
great job.
yeah.
You got the right ones to the right people?
Well done, Chelsea. But yeah, if there's a way that the organization can motivate those survey responses.
I mean, they're
That
different.
was one of the things we talked about. And we did raise all the tip money for the beer when did not touch my hands, so it got donated out to the organizations. That's how it went.
That's good. Oh, cool.
So.
Well, awesome.
Let me
I like
know
it.
about short.
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, extra large, good lord.
We have more sizes.
I'm just kidding.
One of the things that, we have decided to do is, become and get our 501c, so that we can be, a nonprofit, and then would be able to get more,
Donations?
Donations, thank you. And so my goal right now, I'm already thinking is getting donated, hopefully a kayak or something like that that we can raffle off. And maybe that could be an incentive to fill out a questionnaire. If
Yeah,
you want to put
perfect.
your, you know, you want to put your
Drawing.
your thing, yeah, in that. So, and then the other reason that was, it was kind of a disappointment, but now I'm understanding how kind of things work, is that we didn't have the participation of the educational side of groups. There was like Smurf was not there. The library did an excellent, and Mary Beth did an excellent job. Providing a ton of information. It was great. And then they gave out things. So now by setting that a year ahead, we can go ahead and reach out to those. We've got to set date to start reaching out to those organizations, and then we can get more organizations. So hopefully the events will just continue to get bigger and bigger. And
For New Float Fest.
somebody else said that too.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, why do people always just go there? No.
What are they, what are you?
Float Fest.
Flow Fest.
Oh,
Flowfest is dead.
No, they
I
got-
was trying to poke the river guy over there.
Yep.
Flowfest is dead. It's been dead. They're not. They gave
So
up a couple
anyway,
years ago.
thank you to the
Thank you.
city
thank you.
for doing that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry Hendricks, I didn't call her. She doesn't even know she was on the agenda. So we'll move her to the next meeting and I'll call her. Okay, so we'll move on to 3.1. Nominate and appoint a CapCog representative. I would like to continue being that representative for 2025. Or unless there's somebody else who would like to do that.
So we can make a motion to nominate you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to nominate Catherine Glaze and appoint Catherine Glaze, a CapCog representative.
Thank you.
Oh, second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We'll move on to 3.2, the Skull Road pedestrian traffic patterns. We've been kind of mulling this over for quite some time. I got 2 quotes on cleaning up the triangle area and maybe building some steps, but I wasn't feeling very good about it. And so Jared and Javi and I all went down there and we came up with a plan.
Yeah, so one of the things we walked around and tried to figure out where the safest walking path might be and the safest river entrance. And it was hard to identify as we were standing at the top, but once we went down to the river, it became pretty clear where the safest entry point would be, which is right there at the it's a boat ramp, but it's not a boat ramp. It's
Gravel bar.
yeah, off the gravel bar. That's part of the conservation easement that's there. That's sponsored by the state. And so to get there,
Radio boundary. Okay.
yeah, to get which is across the bridge. To get there, we'd want people to be encouraged to walk across the bridge. So one of the concerns we have to make that happen is putting in a pedestrian walkway. It would be a little bit of restriping over towards the downriver side, just to provide a little more space. The bridge is wide enough, we think we can accommodate that. And then not really doing any bank improvement on the Martindale side because frankly, there's not a whole lot of bank there and it's quite dangerous for someone to access it. And one of the things I was concerned about is encouraging people to do unsafe behaviors. So we're going to leave that as natural as possible, but the roads have had a lot of debris, dirt that have been washed over them from storm water and rains coming down the hill. So we go down and brush a lot of that off, the road will feel expanded. Also, a lot of plants growing, I think, on top of where the road might be. Cleaning off about 6 feet of that road on the upriver side, coming up the hill, following it all along the roadway on the left, and then creating a crosswalk at the top where it intersects, where we're gonna have stop signs for Northwest River Road. So we figured an area to cross where there are already existing stop signs would be a safer alternative than to try to stumble, trip your way down the backside of the hill, land at the bottom of the base of the Y where there are no stop signs or pedestrian awareness. So hopefully that will provide some space. And then not only painting a walkway, but we may look at doing some sort of rubber bollards or something that kind of identify that cars shall not approach on this area. As we get to the bridge, we'll have to figure out who, it's not a state thing. So I think we could probably just do it, but we might need to talk about Loop County about what we put there. I think they're in charge of maintaining it. Maybe it's Caldwell County, maybe it's both of them, I don't know.
Could be both.
Yeah, so, get approvals from them, I don't think that'd be too difficult. And then at the top, obviously the crosswalk, would be needed. And then some ways of direct pedestrians, like walk that way. As long as the landscaping, we're thinking about raising the canopy up to make it cleaner, nicer. But it kind of depends on what the quotes came in at. I don't know if we have that yet.
I'm supposed to speak to Tino on Friday
Okay.
to get a.
So that's gonna be where it's gonna be pretty expensive. Obviously, we don't want to take a lot of vegetation out at that spot because that's what's holding the hillside together. Especially on the upriver side where you can see it gouged out pretty good from the last several floods. So, we
No,
don't
that's
want,
from Lanzola cutting trees down.
North side, yeah.
They cut those trees. Dorothy and I clean that up every weekend now for over 2.5 years. They went down where that silk fence is. They cut, you look in there, they cut a whole bunch of trees down in there. And that's why if you look, you can see there's roots in there and then there's ground, dirt just hanging now because the tree's dead. They went and cut shit down and it's not.
But not
their
on the
property.
triangle.
no, I'm talking about the triangle spot, north of the Y.
Okay.
From as you're coming into Martindale across the bridge, at the base of the Y, if you look at it, where up on the upriver side, as the river has flowed in 2015 and others, it started to cut that bank down.
Oh, it's always
That's there.
that.
So it's always going to do that, but we want to leave as much of the root system and vegetation undisturbed.
I'd make one suggestion. I would put the park mobile signs up priority number one, do the crosswalk, the clearing, let's get some revenue from the park mobile fund to pay for that clearing. What do you think?
The tree.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we can get the crosswalk, that's critical, get stop signs, paint it. And then put the park mobile, then we got revenue coming in. And then apply that revenue for the clean brush and
But
whatever.
we'll still come in and get all the brush off the sides of the roads.
Yeah.
Especially on that upside
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
from the river. I think what we want to do too is encourage, you want to come up instead of being at an angle like you're going to go toward Martindale. You want to come up as square as possible. We probably need to take a little bit of pavement out on that side and then add more on this
I
side.
agree, we need to do that.
And then move the stop
We-
sign
Okay, we need to
over.
do that, I guess.
That way you don't have people quite literally turning their head 180
Yeah,
degrees.
that needs to be done.
So try to motivate them to come closer to
Yeah.
a 90, maybe not full 90, but closer to a 90 as they come to that stop sign.
Well, we talked about that. One of the things we're gonna do is prevent parking too far down. So
True.
that we can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tommy was there when we were putting I was marking where the signs need to go. And then we were discussing that, and that's why the first park mobile sign is actually, you see the orange spray paint, we already positioned it. It's quite a ways down. There's a guy who goes up there and he parks a trailer there, and when he does, you can't see.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, the kid comes in and and he literally parks his truck right there at at the end there, and you go up there, you can't even look.
Have those signs come in yet?
No,
No.
So,
somebody needs to check.
I'll reach out to him. He's really bad, not gonna lie.
Tuesday.
I'll reach out on him. Well, are we open Monday?
Tuesday, well, we're here Monday, but a lot of people
Okay, I'll just, I'll
We
get it over with Monday. We'll see what we get
Squeaky
Tuesday.
wheel gets the grease. Courtney?
I have a question, is our, landscape maintenance, contract, does that include,
We had options included. There weren't exercised, but there are options that we can execute.
okay, but it is not included at this time?
Not-
No,
not at
'cause
this
it's
time.
not a park yet.
Okay,
Well, not necessarily because it's not a park, just because we never said do that work also.
okay, I
Yeah.
just was checking, was some confusion.
And if we did, it'd be kind of a separate contracting action. It wouldn't hit park expenses, at least not initially.
Okay. So I think that's a good solution, getting a crosswalk where it's, the people have to turn left or go down. And then having them walk over to that side of
good.
the
That's a
road
good
and then walk
suggestion.
down.
But we still gotta do the one-way stuff yet, right?
Yeah.
I still say having that three-way stop's a great plan, because people drive way too fast coming through there. Having that stop sign will slow that traffic down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on to 3.3, the,
Do we
hobbies.
want, Mayor, do we want to, are you seeking, you see a possible action up here? Were you seeking approval for any purchasing activity on this, or just want to discuss and see if there's concurrence on the design?
Oh, that's a good question. We were gonna spend some money just cleaning it up, but
Well, maybe we can leave it at this, and then if it comes, the quotes come back above the purchasing authority, then
Yeah.
we'll come back to council. And we'll come back to council for all this, for all the striping requirements.
I'm being pretty, go ahead and clean it up. That's just being pretty particular. As long as we get those signs up is when they come in.
well, and if we can get this going now when
Yeah, I
there's
agree.
not much traffic,
And the weather,
then when it does get busy,
you're right, the
by
foliage is
March,
falling. Yeah,
yeah,
I
there'll
agree.
be,
I agree. Retract my suggestion.
okay. Okay, so moving on to 3.3. So Javi's been working on an ordinance about fences. It's in a real rough form right now. He's looked at some other cities, and we just wanted to let y'all know that we're thinking about this. And one of the main reasons that I want an ordinance about fence and flat work, we were gonna write them separately, is because of the impervious cover ordinance. It's almost impossible to enforce how somebody builds a fence or where they build it if they're not getting a permit. So this is the first kind of reading and introduction to introducing the fence ordinance. So that was when we did the 105 Northwest River Road, where the Historic Commission had done so much work about what kind of fence she should put in. There was nothing really to address impervious cover requirements or the floodplain. That was the main thing at 105.
But that's not their purview.
Not for the historic, but then it comes back to the city. And it's hard for the city to enforce either one of those requirements if you don't have a permit. And so that's why I'm going after this permit.
Should we say, instead of flood prone, we should say floodway? Do we go more specific in the zoning of that or not?
Well, even in the 100-year floodplain by the river, you know, we're seeing a lot of privacy fences and stuff. You know, do we
Well-
want that kind of fence that's gonna stop water?
But you definitely in a floodway area.
Yeah,
100-year flood, that's.
I think currently where they're at, it's probably not gonna be too bad, but,
Where she has the fence is not an issue, because she's high.
yes,
But I know
She's
originally, he was trying to, or did start building the fence all the way down to the river,
yeah,
which, and it was a bigger barrier even than type of a fence than what she put up. So
what you're trying to get to is kind of like what is allowable in a floodway
Way,
and a floodplain,
plain.
like a blockage. Dorothy, have you seen anything on that? Because I know you're working on the stuff from the USGA on
Yes.
the docks.
Yes, and I've actually gotten a lot of information and, I'll be,
So the USGA has standards for docks
Mhm.
and,
The river advisory.
the river
board is
advisory board
working
basically
on
is
that.
to Dorothy, that's not good. So we reached out to Virginia and we've done our own research and basically the USGA, any navigable water, in theory, irregardless of the city, you basically can't put a dock in there unless it meets their standards. Which, based on the cursory review that I looked, everyone's breaking the rules to some extent on that.
Not me.
Well, I don't know, you didn't get a
I got-
permit
I
from
got
the
a permit.
USGA, Mr.
I got a permit.
Not from the USGA.
I remember that from the city. I got a permit from the city.
Well, it's the USGA, so moving forward, but there are rules on there they to discuss, from the fence, so when we get you that, we'll give that to you, so you can add that wrinkle,
Yes.
you know, because in theory, you're not supposed to put a full privacy fence in
in the
a flooding area,
Right.
you know, because that blocks the water.
And actually, you're doing the landowner a favor, because if you build in a floodway, it'll blow it out,
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
so.
So this is in your packets. Deanna sent the full packet just a little bit before the meeting started. And so if you have any feedback on this, just let me know.
What about, did you ask what, oh my God, I can't think of their name. The people that do our inspections,
Oh,
Veritas.
Veritas.
do they have fence requirements or recommendations?
So
They were,
that's one of the unique wrinkles on this is that fences typically are not subject to building permits
Mhm.
under the International Building Code. So we're creating an exception to that code in our local ordinance. Just given frankly, because of the amount of population that lives in these hazard areas, it needs to be somewhat universal. You know, is it replacement of fences or is it the initial installation? Does the replacement, if you're just replacing wickets, does that need a permit? I don't know. But if you're taking a chain link fence and putting into a wood picket fence, that's going to stop flow in a floodway. You want to have some way to point them back to this requirement. So this is draft language. This very, very much open to input from council on where they think that interpretations are either too, statements are too vague or interpretations are too broad. Any change you want to see?
so Bureau Veritas, they basically came back and said, you don't have an ordinance, so there's nothing we can rule on.
Hmm.
So they're working off of our ordinances when they're making a call about how to judge what's going on.
Mhm.
For shorthand, you could always make this for, all properties south of Highway 80. If we want to be. That way someone in Butterfly Meadows who wants to put a fence. Or set a permit fee for a fence at a very nominal amount that, covers the 20-minute plans review that would be needed. Yeah.
20 bucks, yeah.
Something small, so it's not like, oh, I have to get a building permit, that's hundreds of dollars now. It's like,
Well, that's the thing, you start looking at some of them, they're not that expensive,
no.
they're not that expensive. They really aren't.
What are,
The building permit.
The building permits. they're
If
cheap.
it's
I mean,
under,
The roof one is like $80. I mean, you spend $5,000 to $10,000 on a roof, I want someone else to check it. For $80, I mean, you need someone to check it? Yeah. I want someone to check it for $80. Well, good a job they do, I'm not 100%, but still, I want someone to check it if I spend that kind of money. To me, it's almost silly not to.
Okay,
All right.
so we'll be working on that. Hobby's working on it. And we'll go to 3.6, the worksheet for impervious cover. So Matthew was working on this worksheet. So there's a couple of things that we need to change in how we do things internally. One of them is when things go to, oh, thank
See
you.
them out.
And
Hand them out.
about- Okay,
Go to- Because there's a front side too.
and the back, there you go. When they go to Historic Commission, they think, oh, I'm done, and then they don't come back and get a permit. So we need a little bit of a checklist so that people understand that, hey, this is just the first step in the process. You gotta do the Historic Commission first if you're in the Historic District. And then this impervious, so moving on to another subject, this impervious cover requirement is kind of confusing to people. And this is going to really help because the homeowner would actually do the measurements. So far, what I'm doing is I go on the CAD and I look at what they have there as far as outbuildings and everything. And to the best of my ability, determine how much of their property is covered in impervious cover. And kind of go from there. And there has been a couple of times I've had to tell people, you can't build anymore.
So this, I stole this from, basically, most of this is from Austin.
I have
So
a
this-
quick question on this. So
Yeah,
I assume an uncovered deck is an elevated deck, like on piers with like a deck, that's considered
You assume that the assumption is,
gonna go through.
no, the assumption is everything is impervious. You have to assume that everything is. Start your calculation under that assumption. Then if they go over, then you evaluate and create a plan to get them in compliance. But assume that everything, our driveway, so basically this is my house. This calculation is our property, okay? The square footage of the first floor is 2961. The covered parking is 656. The deck, which is the back deck area, is 144. There's another 400 of porch. Driveway is approximately 1,000 square feet. And then I did a new addition, i.e. a pool. So I'm gonna add 1,000 square feet of patio and 2,400 square feet of pool. So I have 5,100 current and I'm gonna add 3,400. My total lot size is 58,000. Right now, I'm at existing is 8.7, and this would bring me to 14.5. So it fills it in for you type of a thing. And then below we would add, obviously they pick where they're in and whether they're over or not. So the other side of the worksheet, which is why we did the handout, would be where they would actually do a site plan at the bottom and do a little drawing that gives the measurements for them to do it. So, and this is pretty consistent. I downloaded 15 different cities forms. The Austin was the best spreadsheet, to be honest with you, but I stole this from some others. And there's basically a check box areas. They're probably located in floodway, floodplain, not, or unsure. So they try to get the homeowner actually, think about, does that matter? Yes, it does. So at least get them start thinking about it. So
My question, for example, my house, I have a rock patio that's not pervious, okay?
Yeah.
That'd be in there, but I have an uncovered wooden deck that would be allowed, that would not have to be included in that.
yes, it would.
Well,
You'd
if
be
you go,
listed under that as yes, you would list it as a uncovered deck. See, the question becomes, and this was the issue, so as a standard, to answer your question, a slatted deck is considered inherently 40% impervious. But the real question is, how did they prep the ground underneath the deck? If they put a plastic tarp
No.
under, I'm just saying, you assume it's 100%. If you're under, then it doesn't matter. assume it's 100%. Just assume it. If you go over the 20%, which is the current standard, then you investigate whether a condition can be made. And that's why I'm working on a credit over on the right, a credit area. It's on the spreadsheet. I didn't print it out, but there's actually a credit where you would get credit for in this case, 40%. You would not get taken away for the whole deck. You'd only lose 40%. Because the slats are still blocking
Yeah,
the sun.
but it's flowing through. It's not.
The standard is on a deck is 40%.
A standard.
That is the standard. That is the standard. So you're going to lose something for having a deck, period.
Yeah, if I was a homeowner, I'd probably argue that point.
Well, see, you don't even have to address that part unless
You
they
go
go
over.
That's what I'm
over.
saying, just don't argue it until it becomes an issue. And then we can establish solutions, i.e. rain collection. I mean, there's tons of things we can do or provide alternative solutions for them to use as materials that would be a better material than concrete slabs. You know what I mean?
But my point is, I mean, if I was a homeowner like I am, I would have an issue with that because I'd say, well, I have a deck and prove to me it's 40% because if you got,
Prove to me it's not.
it's gonna be, well, it's not holding water, it's going under the deck. But again, we're getting off.
Again, you're not over
But if
20%.
neither of you has any logic or empirical evidence that it's actually 40%, then how are you gonna say it's 40%? Where did 40% come from?
That actually came from studies. We actually have a website.
But no, when your answer to him is prove to me it's not, like that doesn't,
Again,
that's not productive for
My
anything.
proof would
The
be,
issue is if he's not over the 20%,
I
then
heard
it
you.
doesn't.
That's not the issue.
I know,
The issue is when
I'm
he
gonna be the
says,
devil's advocate here. I wanna say, well, I got a deck and there's no standing water. Therefore it's pervious, because it's going underneath, it's going through the slats, going to the ground. Now, if it was a slab, yes.
San Marcos covers all this in their unified development
And
plan
it's
as well.
40%.
it might be, but then that's what you need to explain, is that that's the industry standard, not prove to me it's not 40%.
But then they also
That
get,
is-
That's
what
not
I
an
said.
answer.
I said that is the standard.
But-
40% is
Alright.
the standard for.
but on the reverse, a open cover carport that's open on all four sides with a perfectly pervious cover underneath, ground cover underneath, doesn't count as 100% impervious either. They give you credit for having, the sides open and pervious cover below it. So even though it would normally be 100, it's only, 80 or 70.
But an elevated deck, I mean, you'd have all the water, I mean, you would not hold any of the water back. It'd go straight to the ground, especially if you got ground underneath it, dirt, soil. I'm just doing it, I'm being devil's advocate. If I was, because I'd argue that point. If I said, hey, I got a 40 by 60 foot deck. There's a 1/2 inch slats and it goes straight to the soil underneath.
What are you putting, I'm sorry, what are you gonna put in that we have to argue the point that's gonna make that?
If I had a house and I wanted to put a big old deck in the back, I'd be over that 20, that'd be over the code.
Well, I mean, with that understanding, you could say, well, because I take all the rainwater from my roof, put it into a gutter system, pour it on the ground, that it should be fine.
Well, there you go. There's a way around it.
Anyway,
Okay.
why this is good.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
Mary Beth.
There's a house down here that's elevated and it's concrete.
Right.
6 feet off the ground, it's all concrete. Okay, if they put that on piers and gravel or something that's porous underneath, how would that count? That's still impervious.
Good point, maybe. It might get some credit, but not a lot. It'd still be like 80, 90%.
It's got a roof, sheds the water.
It would get some credit, but like he
Yeah.
was saying, 40% or 50 or 60.
A piered house is essentially that's equivalent of nothing because you have sides all the way down to the bottom, so there's no animals getting through, so.
No, like with that house, it's on piers.
You're
So
talking about.
the whole side, the whole first, equivalent of the
You're
first
talking this
floor.
you talking about Lola Walker's house?
That's
There's houses right down here next door to the water.
Yeah,
Lola Walker's house?
past.
Alan Bates Park.
No. All right.
You'd have to be more.
Must be
Oh,
like
you're
eight
talking
meeting
about
seasons or
The blue house,
Angela's house?
Angela's house,
Yeah.
it's on piers.
No, that's a slab, isn't it?
Oh,
That's a
that's a
slab.
slab.
It's
Mhm.
That's
slab,
slab.
what is it?
Yes, it's a slab.
It's not
We
pretty
just-
slab.
that's
That's a
all.
slab. That's a raised
So
slab.
whatever rain can't get from the rooftop, all of that would be considered
It
impervious.
is impervious, that makes sense.
But what if a raindrop falls from the sky and if it hits anything other than dirt? That's kind of how it takes, how
If
it.
it's rain from the sky and it hits a deck and it goes through the slats, I think, well, I don't really have a point with you.
No, you only get credit for when the raindrop passes through the slat.
I would argue that.
The way they do the study,
Yeah,
Mike,
Let's say
the way
portion
they
of the
do the
rain.
study is they actually put a bucket under there and they drop water and they'll say, most of it actually runs off. It doesn't keep going through, it runs off, so that becomes, that area does not acquire or collect.
All I said to a lazy
Forty
rainstorm.
percent, that's assuming the slits, the
I have
slats are
to
this.
disagree with you, Mr. McGovern, because I've been out there when it's raining and there's no pooling at all, it goes through the slats.
But you know what? City council doesn't have to have as strict impervious cover requirements either. You can always lift how strict these requirements are.
Well, I got the most strict pier in the whole river, on the whole San Marcos River. I'll keep my mouth shut, I'm done.
Anyway,
It is almost 9 o'clock.
You know, we're recording.
I don't care.
anyway, we wanted to introduce this worksheet. This will be very helpful to whoever's doing permits because this is one of the hardest ones to enforce. I did want to point out to you, Matthew, mixed use is 50%.
What is?
It's 50%, not 40.
In the spreadsheet up here, Mayor noticed that it says.
Is it? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it does say that. But down below it says 50.
In the ordinance, you vote.
What did the ordinance say?
50.
Really?
Yep.
Uh-huh, 50.
Okay, I'll change it. Thank you.
That was all the mayor.
So I guess you have a little bit more work you want to do on this
Yeah,
before we adopt
I'm
it.
waiting for feedback from anyone who'd like to provide feedback on it.
So if
Other
you
than
all
mine.
want to give Matthew feedback on this, and then we can bring it back next meeting and vote on it, I guess. Right?
I think it looks good, except for the part about mixed use, but you know, everything looks, I mean.
All right. Okay, so we have a housekeeping thing to do on 3.7, adoption of the Caldwell County Appraisal District Resolution. And they have asked us to do this about our, the amount of taxes that we get. They have in here 396,329.92. Did you have anything to say to that, Jim?
Yeah, that's really close to what we have as our initial budget item. So our budget item, it assumes a 99% collection, 1% of the total appraisal roll value not being collected. So for here, it's pretty, it'd be about 4,000 less. So our budget was 391. So it's a little bit more than the 1% uncollected that we'd be expecting, but it was within $1,000. So it matches up with our math as well.
I don't know that we've ever been asked to do this. This is the
I don't-
first time.
I don't think so. It might be something that's a new statute that they're being required to comply with. It sure be nice to have these numbers, you know, in July
Yeah.
when we're building the budget, but might as well take them now.
Okay, so if I could have a motion, please, to approve this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the Caldwell County Appraisal District.
Okay,
I'll second that.
All right, is there any discussion about this? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And substandard structures, we're not prepared to talk about that, I guess.
Is James here this evening?
I don't know.
Sure. thing.
He was here earlier. What? I know. And the guy was in, did
Maybe he
pest
stirred him up.
control, but they're everywhere. We didn't even get that much rain.
Mm-mm. Well, my neighbor said we got 3 inches.
Somebody, Sam said we got 2, so it must have been somewhere in through there.
Yeah, we got 2.
We got 3.
We got 3.
We did, we got 3. I was thinking Maxwell got 6.
I mean, oh,
Man, we got, at least we got something.
No.
James coming, have something to present on his laptop.
What's that now?
the number of people that are, this is the number of exemptions, and the ones that are over 65, 127 individuals.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Bunch of old bars,
It's about a quarter of the properties.
man.
So, and that's,
Darn, I'm one of them.
I'm one too, thank goodness.
it's a little bit over, probably almost a full third. You figure we have about 400, utility customers that get fast service. 127 of those have a.
Do you want to email it? Do you want to share it? Like, do you want me to just give you the HDMI?
Okay, so I don't know if you have all met James Leo. He is our, whoops, okay. Code enforcement person.
Did you reach? No. That's
Sign
okay.
out.
Just use this one. One second. Screen sharing. And now. You'll get up there in a bit. Give it a second.
Over the last month, I've had a opportunity to look through some of the buildings and the structures throughout the city. It's going to be divided into 2 different types of sections here. And the one I'm going to go over today are the ones that I did not see that were occupied. So as far as the occupied ones, I think that's going to be another obstacle to go over as far as contacting adult public services and things of that with the people that are living in there. But with unsafe buildings, I went off our city code along with the international code. So pretty much any building or structure that is unsafe or unfit for human habitation is what I put into this presentation. And
You're not on Zoom, so it's not gonna work this way. Where is this presentation on your computer?
Yes.
Okay, let me just. No, is it under, why is it doing?
because that's my computer.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't work that way because you're not on the Zoom, so you can share your screen to us. So this presentation, do you know how to find it?
Mhm.
Okay, well, show me, okay, cool.
So the structures I'm going to show you, I took some pictures of them, and from what I saw on the outside, these are structures that are obviously very obvious that are in a state that is very unsafe as far as by obviously looking at the structure without going inside, you can see that maybe the patio is leaning or there's holes in the roof and things of that nature. From this presentation, I already have letters to go out to contact the owners. That way they can come before and present their case.
But that's just from the outside, right?
Just from the
You
outside.
can't go in there and check electrical or.
No, not at this time. So this is just from the outside. Now, from the inside, now there is part of the statute that states that we can get consent to go in there. Then we can go in there and inspect it. But if the owner does not give us consent, then obviously we have to write some administrative warrants to go into the property and inspect them. And I'm sure as y'all see the pictures, it's gonna be houses that you're familiar with. If you do not see one on here, more than likely it's because I saw a car on the side of it, or it looks like there's drapes or something that somebody's living in it. So if you want to discuss that at a later time, we can do that as well. But these are the ones that obviously did not look like they were lived in.
So you're on, let me actually put it up there and share it. And make sure I'm sharing my screen.
The 91.5, the unsafe buildings, that is from our code that you're going to see. Mhm. Yeah. So the 91.05, that is from our city code. That is verbatim from our code. Now it goes into a little bit more detail from the International Property Maintenance Code. And these three are the main ones that from these pictures that we're going to be looking at. So
Showing like that. I think the screen should be flipped.
I'm taking up everybody's space. No, it's okay.
Cool.
there
Woo.
we go. Which is great.
Oops.
They're not in the way.
No. So from these pictures, you'll see from the International Property Maintenance Code, the obvious ones that we saw from the outside, it's going to be 304.7 roofs and drainage. They have an obvious big hole in the roof that does not keep out the rain. The exterior walls, if there's holes in the walls that I can visibly see from the outside, from the public roadway, that was put into this as well. And then also with 3004.10 deals with the porches and balconies. So from what I could see from the roadway, from a public view, they're obviously leaning in one direction or another, making them unsafe.
You just bring the mouse down here, and pretty much. Try it again.
So it's 16925 Highway 80. You can see on the left side of it, I put the owner's name, the mailing address, and then the address here in the city. And on the right side, you're going to see the actual structure from the public roadway. As you can see with this particular house, you have holes, the door is not on. On the side of the home, you can tell that the wall is deteriorating, obviously not making it really suitable for human habitation. Next, we have 604 Crockett, where you can see from the public roadway, patio there, you can see how it's leaning to the right. Now, along this as well, the walls on the outside, there's not really any kind of solid structure to this building. And 107 Fannin, this one, the walls are, as far as the structure, it's fine, but it has a lot of holes, which makes it very attractive for varmints and things of that nature. Or if you wanted to have some kind of squatters, it would also make it very attractive for them as well. This particular home, I left a notice for their yard, but along with that, you can see that the structure is not really suitable for human habitation.
There's one, I don't know if there's that particular residence, but there was a service call that I was on with Pete a while back, and we're trying to, at the request of the resident, and we're trying to find where the sewer connection was. And in the process of looking for that sewer connection, that might have been shared with an adjacent property. It might have been that one. The back of the house is completely missing, and there's no floors. It's literally like a barn on the front looking at it from the other side.
So when I went up to that one, and I put the notice on there
Yeah.
for the yard, I did peek through and I did see that there was a wall in the back, but there's like an open doorway into that would invite, if somebody wanted to squat or whatever. Next one is 601 North River Road,
This line's old.
and this particular one is, the pictures are kind of small and I apologize for that, but on the bottom of it, you can see where it's just rotting away, and the structure on top, as far as the roof, that's rotting away as well. So it's open to the elements as far as rain. The next one is 709 Northwest River Road, which from my understanding, was an old mill. And as you can see, there's a structure. Is there what here it is. This particular, I'm sure y'all have seen it, this structure has fallen onto the roof, leaving a really large hole on top of the roof, as well as part of the building is missing things on the wall and what have you. So it's exposed to the elements as well, along with being very unsafe and having that structure. So I have all the information, and send out the letters next week to get them in here to have them, I guess, answer for their properties, what have you. The other ones that I do have, I didn't include them with this one, but they're all habitated.
I think when we're talking with council, our priorities that I suggested was to focus on these that have no one living in them, because those are a less of a delicate situation. And then the proposal would be to come back in the planning and zoning meeting to have a public hearing on these structures, where they would be cited for having a substandard structure, and a planning and zoning hearing would be an opportunity for them to describe how they're going to remediate that. And then from there, that's where there starts to become consequences that the city can start taking within its own sphere of control. The intention is to show official action to motivate reaction on their behalf, without going through the costly alternative of going straight to a district court and seeking, judgments and things at that stage. So ultimately, if there's no response, this will get to that point. But this is something within our control, with limited expense, that we can try to compel action.
And then when we talk about the people that are living in, we do know, we mentioned before, there are grants that we can get these people funded to help them repair their houses, particularly if they're not in a economic position to do it. So, James, you have those, I can reach out to you. The library has they've saved the link.
Okay.
For these people that are basically qualified. There's two grants. One is, it's out of Austin, the other one, I don't remember.
United Way or something?
Yeah, one's the United, yeah, it's part of the United Way.
One's Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels out of Austin, yeah, thank you, that was it. And they'll actually help them fill out a grant, fill out an application. If they qualify, they'll come and do the work.
Okay.
They'll actually, you know, fix the house and make it, but basically the watertight is the standard. They won't do everything, but they'll take care of a lot of what you're looting, they're looting, and they don't have the economic means to take care of it.
But there are restrictions to that. The house has to be in a certain level of repair as opposed to disrepair. If it's a house that meets some of the criteria that you're indicating, it may be that they're not going to fix it because they're not gonna come in and put a Band-Aid on a house that needs to be knocked down. They say that in their documentation before you ever fill out the application. So that might have to just be reviewed, but that should be reviewed but we can send them to the people and the people can decide whether or not the house is too far gone to fix it. That's not a decision we have to be involved in. We can just refer them. The other option is that, there is a federal grant that would come to the city and then the city would be responsible for, like, let's say they came to the meeting and they said, we want to get these things done, but we're elderly or disabled and we can't afford to do that. The city could provide a grant directly to them for the cost of fixing it. So there are options, that's the thing. There are choices that could be made.
There's about an equal amount of houses that I documented and took pictures of, but again, I didn't put them in this particular presentation because it looks like somebody is living in there, whether it's a car or there's drapes on the windows, you know, things of that nature, but the houses are in poor condition. But I'll definitely send out the documentation next week for these particular homes.
So I think if we're looking ahead, you know, scheduling, it'd be nice to be able to put in those notices close to 30 days advance if we can, so that they have time to prepare. That would put us in the first week of December. We're planning to still keep the meeting on the 5th. You know, sometimes when we get December,
Can I,
look at scheduling some to move that first meeting to the second week and just have one meeting, or if
In December.
we've done it in the past, doesn't mean we have to do it this time. Or we keep it on the 5th and we let them know in the notice that your hearing date is the 5th at 6 o'clock or 6:30, whatever time we say. Because we're gonna want to have that information in the notice, and that's when some
Right.
trouble of coordinating. It's confirming that, yes, we have the properties we want to come. And
It's laid out what
We
dates.
usually move it to the middle of the month. Yeah, we usually move it back. Because they only have one for the month.
One for December.
I'm all for that.
Okay. I'm kind of surprised you don't have that one by Taco Feliz.
One of the, said 408.
It would be on Highway 80, I guess.
the white one?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind
I
of.
thought somebody lived in that.
Yeah.
And what about the one that no one lives in that's right over here?
No, not
Beside
that
the
one.
silos that has a giant hole in the roof that you can see.
If I missed that one, then just
Right
email
over
me.
here? You're talking
Yeah.
about this?
Jennings,
yeah, if there's others.
Jennings in Maine, owned by Carlton Carl,
He actually fixed the siding.
but he has not fixed the hole in the roof.
There's a hole in the roof.
Oh my God, there's a giant hole in the roof and it's been there for years.
Oh, you
Isn't that
did
lived
fix
in?
the siding, yeah.
No?
This is building. right over.
A bird just fell through it. Like not a bird, like a big old giant, what are they called? Raven? No,
If I missed one off the
one
list,
that eat things. Buzzard, a buzzard fell through there the other day and
It's a buzzard roost.
that's how I know it still has the hole in the roof.
If I missed one, just email me and then I'll add it to it and put it on the list for December.
Could I ask though for, just for clarification, this would be more for you. I don't know who it's for. Heck, I don't know. I've never been through this. So
Neither have we.
I need help on, I need guidance on what you envision this conversation looking like. Like, I get that they're gonna come in and plead their case, right? But like, we're not judges. Like, what are we supposed to be doing? Are we asking them questions? Are we then gonna all get together and like give them the evil eye? Are we gonna say, are we taking a vote in front of them? Like, how do you see this working out? Like,
Yeah.
what is my role in this besides let them make their case. But I don't understand how it resolves from there.
Yeah, so the substandard structures, I believe that to. The ordinance that describes this is in 91, chapter 91. starting
I'm
in section
familiar with
50.
it, yeah.
And so the procedure is notice of violation
Mm-hmm,
and then an initial hearing.
mm-hmm.
At that initial hearing, the planning and zoning board may require the owner to secure the building from unauthorized entry.
So how do
So
we make that
basically-
determination at the time, when the guy comes in, he tells us what? Like, he says his little spiel, and then we're gonna do what? We're gonna take a vote, or we're gonna automatically suggest that it's secured and that this and that? Or like, what, I wanna know, so that we don't look like idiots when they come, not idiots, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they come in and no one knows what they're doing, and we're all looking at each other like, okay, all right, so now I guess we need to decide this. Like, how, what are we doing?
So, yeah,
Okay, so there's not a hard and fast process, but what.
But
you
we
can
could make one up,
Well.
so that we know.
To some degree, you have the choice of either dealing with it through planning and zoning. And there's a process for that under the law. You can deal with it through the municipal court. You can go straight to district court. And so the conversation really is, look, here's what we see to be the problem. And what we need to do to determine the full extent of the problem, if you allow us, is to send someone on the property to fully investigate the extent of the problem. Because like we have to do with the beautiful building across the street now, we contacted Clarence Clark and said, Mr. Clark, that building is a real problem, and we think anyone with half a brain can see that the building is a real problem. So we're asking for your permission to come and look at it. And he said, that's fine. And we have sent someone out there, walked around it and looked at it. We got a report from an engineer that said, yeah, this building's a problem. It's dangerous. The walls are leaning. It's going to fall down. We have to address this. Got that and used it in the rest of history. The position with someone that comes in is to say, we want to have a conversation about this because this needs to be addressed. If you will let us take a look, we can hopefully work through and address these problems. If you won't, here are the things that can happen. We can first address it through planning and zoning and see if they will, if the planning and zoning, the same group of people, city council, want to take more formal action on this, whether or not they want to kick it to the municipal court, whether or not they want to take it to district court. And there's varying options based on what the perceived danger is that's presented by whatever the structure is. And
yeah, the presumption under the planning and zoning is at that initial hearing that the person has to show proof that what's required to fix it. Because what happens after the planning and zoning is issue an order to have it demolished or remediated within 30 to 90 days. Yeah. And so that's the intent of the hearing, is find out, should we make it 30 or should we make it 90? Or to Ken's point, which is likely the case in all single one of these, is they may not show up. And at that point, we're going into other procedures, but if they do show up, that we get some information from them. Can we access your building to make a full assessment? If they say, oh, I need 60 days, sure. I need 6 months. I can't do it in less than 90 days. All right, well, if that's the case, would you please allow someone to come on site to verify that request? And then they come back to the planning and zoning and make the issue an order. But the end result is
So
an
then-
order to say, fix it or demolish it in the next 30 to 90 days.
So then what it sounds like to me is that basically we don't all, like, we're not all gonna be sitting here listening and asking questions. It's more of a process meeting where we have one person, whoever that is. I don't know if it's you, I don't know if it's
Mike.
Mike, because he's the planning and zoning guy, if it's the attorney, whoever it is, there is a guy who will be asking the same basic set of questions of everyone. So word is more here as eye candy, just kidding. Word is more here as the council that's listening, but we're not, but we're not the ones that, like, I don't need to be sitting there going, okay, and so I need to look at this particular order, like, I don't need to be doing that. Because his job is to basically say, here's the options and here's what you need to be doing. And so, like, if we had a question, we could ask it, but I'm not responsible for making determinations about that. Am I?
You're making determinations about what the outcome of the hearing will be, which is the order to demolish or the order to repair based off the information received during.
So then we're gonna now, what, discuss it and then have a formal vote of whether, whatever? Okay.
There'll be action on each house.
So he'll talk to them, I mean, basically, like, say the whole thing about, like, what is your plan, yada, yada, yada.
I'm comfortable leading that conversation.
Fine,
As
whoever.
zoning administrator, sitting in that capacity with the support of James as the
Person,
code inspector. And with between that, basically giving them the prompt, tells what's going on.
What
with
problems
this
you're
house.
seeing with the property?
Yeah, because
And
we're
then-
trying to decide whether to give you 30 to 60 or 90 days to fix this. And then it's, oh, I need more than 90, or I can't fix it, I can't afford it. Okay.
and then
Would you
once
allow
they
us
get done,
access into the
Yeah.
property to assess it further?
yeah. And then they'll say yes or no. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, so we need to, like, does somebody need to make a motion and a second?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll vote on it, and then they'll leave, and then the next person does, if we have more than one, then the next person will do the same process again. Okay,
Yeah.
got it, I
Yeah,
can do
that's
that.
How
And-
did
and
you
then- and-
choose these particular houses?
Driving around.
Oh,
You have
Driving around.
others, like, you have others.
Yeah, there's
yeah,
others that I've seen, and but again, they look like they're occupied. So I chose the ones that did
So-
not look obviously occupied.
what about the last one on Lockhart Street that's totally abandoned? It's always overgrown with grass.
So the white one was
It's
the
the
big
last one on Lockhart Street.
on the right-hand side.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that structure, from what I saw from the outside, it didn't look like it was exposed to the elements. Now, I
Okay.
did leave, again, another notice on there, as far as their yard, but the next step on that is just to send them a summons like I've done to everybody else and have them answer that for their yard and their trees and stuff of that nature. Just like I did on Skyline and everywhere else.
Yeah,
But the fortunate thing with the people on Skyline, I was able to actually knock on the door, talk to them. No one ever seems to be on Lockhart, so
Mm.
I'm just gonna have to send them.
Yeah,
That's
I
true,
haven't
I
seen
drive
it
by there a
either.
lot and I don't see anyone.
Like the property on the Ladybug, the big lot that's abandoned, right? So trying to contact them, no answer, no call back, whatever. So at one point I just sent them a summons and they actually came up here and cut their yard.
okay,
So that's just how I'm gonna handle that particular one.
yeah. So the house right on the other side of Taco Feliz is not lived in. I think it's the next one you're talking about that's lived in.
Okay. You wanna send me that address and then I'll go take a look at it and take pictures and.
It's probably not open to the elements, but it's been abandoned
Okay.
for a long, long
Okay,
time.
just take a look at it.
And then the other thing that the city would do in the intermediate period of how this plays out is, the planning and zoning can order that the building be secure, the property be secure, so. Depending on if we think it's, so, likely to be,
Yeah.
some vagrant. making
Y'all
use of
put
the
fencing
building.
around duets at one point, right?
Yeah, we did,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
so we, something similar to that. as well.
Mhm. So then the city pays for that? I'm assuming you would attempt to get it back from the owner at some
Yeah.
point, but if you can't, the city.
Eventually, it'd likely turn into a lien
Mhm.
on the property.
It's a new process that most cities just do, and we've been on, it's like a lot of ordinances, they've been there.
Mhm.
At some point,
Hopefully
you have
all
to
of them
address
work
them.
out like duets did. That worked out perfect.
Well, the duets, that took some time and
It
also
did.
followed a different process than what
It
we're doing
did.
here. We went straight to a district court.
Yeah.
Mm.
We're trying to motivate action
Yeah.
without taking on the legal.
This
expenses.
is the nicest way, I think.
Real quick to your point though, there was, I think, at least 5 years of the nice way,
A duet?
a
Yeah,
duet
you're right.
before,
Yeah.
before we did that. And then that was back in 17 when I was hired, and I was given a stack of efforts to handle that the nice way.
Yeah.
And I was told, no more nice, do whatever we
Yeah.
can to address that. So that was, when I think the city did as much as they could to try and nicely resolve that issue for a period of years.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, he
Heck
came
yeah.
in multiple times, I remember.
Yeah, everybody was grateful by the time it finally got handled, because it had just been such an eyesore for so long.
That's a very successful story.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
We can, depending on if that's not subject to a homestead, go to foreclose the ordinance file.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then at that point,
When you proceed under, it's all under chapter 54 of the local government code. Normally, when you sue someone, you get a judgment against the person. So hypothetically, if we had a contract and I sued you for breach of contract, I get a money judgment. But when you sue based on these dangerous structures, you can get what's called an in rem judgment, which is a judgment against the property. So it's a judgment that attaches directly to the property, and then you can force the sale of property to satisfy the judgment.
I think most of these things are gonna get resolved all on their own. Lanzola is a prime example. They bought that, they'll take care of it.
Well, I think they thought that it was a structure somebody was gonna wanna buy. That's why they moved it.
so Mike, because this will be a planning and zoning, we want to go ahead and tentatively schedule for the December 12th as a date we can use in our notices. And then
That'll work. Does that work for y'all? What day is that on?
it's a Thursday,
Thursday.
it's the second Thursday of December.
And then next meeting, we can vote to just have one meeting in December.
Okay. Do it all in one day.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll be back by then.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
It's a secret. But my wife would love to tell you the story.
I'll tell you later.
I'll tell you later.
Save an occasion. for
I'm
me.
not gonna say it on open record what I'm going to do. I'm not gonna get filmed.
That sounds even worse.
Just whisper it.
Now you got some.
Shady.
We got unfinished business in Vegas.
Right.
We gotta remember.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Unless you're
It doesn't involve
back
Vegas.
Oh, my goodness.
Illegitimate children or anything?
No. I would never.
Thank you, James, and it's
Yeah.
nice to see you in
Thank you.
person.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming to this.
You exist.
I don't come out of my cave.
Aw.
I know people hear me back there, but let me come out.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, that's it?
That's it?
Come on, y'all.
You wanna stay till
Yeah,
midnight?
let's stay a little longer. Who wants to share their favorite hobby?
I make a motion to.
Right?
9:31.
Second that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Bye.